By the way, now talking about repair, the approach that you were willing to make at Pinnacle, I think it takes some courage, because Bustamante, who is the founder of your party, was very aggressive against Howell and the whole development up there. So it come like you trying to correct the abuses of Carl Gardens.
Yeah, but the truth of the matter is that both PNP and JLP used to persecute Rasta.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fact of our history.
Yes.
We didn't understand it. We saw Rasta as a threat.
Yeah.
We thought that they were going to be subversives and so on. Remember when police used to hold them, carry them to lock up, and cut off the hair?
Yes, man. They hold me 68, and the superintendent Cox is stripping naked in front of the other people in arbitrary.
All of that is part of our history.
And I'm saying going to trim me upon the spot there, and I'm send for things that I'm out trimming. I wouldn't like to tell you some other things that I'm doing.
But I mean, but that was long time. We now understand how wrong that approach was, no?
Yeah, tell you.
Indaman Adamu Tanastilan Jambo Otep, good morning. 7 minutes after 6 o'clock. And you're inside of the Africa Forum. It's running African. Reuniting the African family for development. Blazing new paths towards Africa's rendezvous with destiny. Bearing witness, demanding change. Crafting new agendas for change and development. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Welcome to the African space, the Pan-African space. We are Africans, not because we were born in Africa. We are Africans because Africa was born in us. Very pleasant morning to you. Welcome to the African space. Welcome to the Pan-African space at this time in this place. My name is Kabu Ma'at Kheru. Going through until 10 o'clock this morning. That is when the Big A comes in with the Sunday sunshine. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you. Welcome to you on the 107s, 107.1, all the way to 107.9. Thank you for choosing IRI FM and the African Forum. Welcome to you on the internet at irifm.net. Welcome to you on your BlackBerry, your mobile phones, apps, your Android apps. Good morning. Welcome. Welcome to you who are all geared up and ready to take it further through the social media. Thank God for the digital convergence of the technologies. So Kabu Ma'at Kheru. That's how you find me on Twitter. Good morning to you, tweets. So it's at Kabu, K-A-B-U, Kabu Ma'at, M-A-A-T, Kheru, K-H-E-R-U. That's how you find me on Twitter. On Facebook, we're at Kabu Ma'at Kheru Williams. And by the way, if you find me on Twitter, or if you find me on Facebook, or if you find me on irifm.net, then you'll find me on the social media all over. On LinkedIn, on Pinterest, on Dig, on Tumblr, on... Just bumped into it. All right, so good morning to you wherever you are on Foursquare. Good morning. And of course, on the 107s across the 14 parishes of Jamaica. Good morning to you in St. Elizabeth. Good morning to you if you're joining us this morning from Hanover. A very, very special morning to you from St. Mary, from St. Anne, from Kingston and St. Andrew. Good morning to you. Good morning to you from Portland, Manchester, Clarendon. Did we call them all yet? Good morning to you from Westmoreland. Good morning, good morning. If I left your parish out, let me know. I know you're joining us from the 14 parishes across Jamaica. We've got an interesting program lined up for you as usual this morning. Going to be talking about black skin, black hair. Black skin, black hair this morning. And we're going to be doing that with dermatologist Dr. Lorena Muir-Green. Tell you a little bit about her. She's joining me in the studio later on this morning. So we're talking about black skin, black hair this morning. And Dr. Lorena Muir-Green, who is a practicing dermatologist in Jamaica, joins me in the studio. She graduated from the University of the West Indies, first obtaining a double major in chemistry and biochemistry. She then went on to pursue a career in medicine. Having obtained her medical degree from UWI, she went on to pursue her postgraduate specialization in clinical dermatology at Cardiff University, for which she got distinction. She was a recipient of a 2013 Fellowship in Hair and Scalp Disorders at the University of British Columbia. She's a member of the North American Hair Research Society, International Society of Hair Restoration Surgery, Dermatology Association of Jamaica, as well as an associate member of the Caribbean Dermatology Association. She currently works at the Dermatology Clinic at the National Chest Hospital, where she recently established a hair clinic. She has a blog, AskTheHairDoc.com, where she discusses hair and scalp disorders with the general public, and she's joining us in the studio this morning to talk black skin, black hair. And in addition to that, we're going to be hearing from Maria Carla Gulato. Carla Gulato joining me on the phone lines this morning. Of course, you know she is one of the conveners of the Free Winifred Beach Committee, and much more. She's with Amnesty International and so on. But really this morning, in her capacity as a member of the Free Winifred Beach group, she joins me on the phone lines to give us the latest update on the Winifred Beach situation. Because if you remember, one of the things that we have been fighting for and fighting with all our lives is for public access to and free access to the Winifred Beach in Portland, as the government of Jamaica continues to strip Jamaicans and to deny Jamaicans access to beaches across Jamaica. We're very, very concerned that we're hearing a lot of platitudes and not action, because the government has said in Parliament and outside of Parliament. We have heard from Ian Hales, who is with the Ministry of Land and the Environment. We have heard from the Minister of Tourism about the plans to ensure that Jamaicans are given more access, it would appear, to beaches. But we do know that appearances to the mind are of four kinds. Things either are what they appear to be, or they neither are nor appear to be, or they are and do not appear to be, or they are not and yet appear to be. So I don't know. So it appears to me that what we heard from Ian Hales and what we heard from the Minister of Tourism, Wickham McNeil, was that there would be a concerted effort to ensure that Jamaicans are no longer denied access to beaches in the way that we have been denied, but that may be as it may. And so the fight continues, a luta continua, but we say Evitora is certa, meaning but victory is certain. And so Carla Galata and the team, the Free Winifred Beach Committee, they've been in court and out of court, and interesting that the UDC, allowed this to go so far. That means that the idea of the trust, the idea that government are trustees for the people, that this idea doesn't wash at all with government agencies. It doesn't. In other words, we the people are a bother to them. We the people are the filth on the bottom of their shoe, something to flick off and something to scorn and something to kick around, something to wash away. But we will not go away and we will not be stepped on. So the Winifred Beach Committee, they've been in and out of the court, and now we have the final court date. It has come and gone, and what appears to be, once again, a kind of a victory. What appears to be a kind of a victory for the people. For the people is what is coming out of the last court session. So Carla Gulato will be joining me on the phone lines to talk about that later on this morning. And then, as I said earlier, we're looking at black skin, black hair with Dr. Lorena Muir-Green, and we're going to be talking about the basic hair and skin care in black people generally. Going to be looking at common skin diseases in Jamaica. We're also going to be talking about skin cancers in Jamaica, hair loss, and so on. But we're also talking about identity and what it means to be black in terms of the black skin and the black hair. All right. Remember now that at 8:30 we have the Cashpot draw, and then lots happening in the news. So we want to bring you up to date with some of what we're missing, because our attention, I know, is diverted with this whole question of what's happening with the NHT. First it was Chick V, then it's the NHT and the bail Outameni in Trelawney. And yes, rightly so, we must stop and talk about that. We must be indignant about that. There must be some righteous indignation about the way the NHT, in its callousness and its arrogance, has decided to spend our money and then wants to tell us to go where the grass don't grow. When we question that, have you ever seen such a level of arrogance? Have you looked at the face of Senator Lambert Brown? And have you yet come to terms with the level of arrogance and the disdain that is spewing from his lips? Have you come to terms with that, or are you like me and you turn away in disgust from the television screen every time he comes on? It is a shame that someone who first defended the rights of the people now trample on the rights of the people and try to defend that. So we do have a right to be outraged at what has happened. 180 million for less than 10 acres of land in Trelawney, along with the Outameni property. Listen. You know, what the Prime Minister doesn't know, this is Portia Simpson Miller, what she doesn't know is that whereas the NHT might have said to her, and let me not say what she doesn't know, but well, probably she doesn't, is that there were others long before now who were saying, the NHT who worked with the situation, who were saying that the NHT had acquired the property. So it's not so good to go down the road that the NHT hasn't acquired the property. It's not so good to go down that road. There are people working in the system who were long ago saying the NHT had acquired the property. As a matter of fact, from as far back as November 2013. All right. We don't have to say much more than that. Also, this morning in the bottom line, We're arguing that if China is a development partner with Jamaica and not an economic competitor or a new colonizer, then security and protection must be a two-way conversation and not a walkabout in Chinatown, downtown Kingston. So that's what we're arguing in the bottom line this morning. So we've got a lot to get through. We want to open the phone lines later on in the program also, so stand by for that. As we continue to seek truth, to learn from the past, to absorb the spirit of human possibilities, and to honor our moral obligation to remember. We're posing a few questions this morning also, and we'll do that later on in the program. Sometimes, and what I found out in my many years as a journalist is that sometimes the questions are more important than the answers. So as we continue to talk about genetically modified foods coming into Jamaica, then we've got questions. As we continue to talk about the extent to which government is making available lands that they are to keep in trust for the people of Jamaica, prime lands, watershed lands, to China in their continued betrayal of the Jamaican people, then we've got lots of questions to ask. As government continue to kick people off their lands or label them squatters, we've got questions to ask. And as we ourselves as a people talk our way, platitudinous peroration, through our problems, talk our way through the oppression, talk our way through the wicked, callous nature in which we're treated, through the new enslavement, through the new colonization. As we continue to talk our way through that, we spend our energies, it seems, in talking or on the social media. And so we've got some questions to ask ourselves in a kind of a critical reflection on where we might be losing the battle. You see, conversation is an interesting thing, and media, I know, and free speech, I know. Yeah, there was a kind of, interestingly enough, I was saying to someone the other day that Jamaica is one of a country where free speech is, more than many other countries. It's much better than many other countries. And the person was saying to me, no. And I know, I've been persecuted and prosecuted and threatened again and subtly threatened, and I have had to pull a lot of the issues that I've raised on this program in this space because of threats. Yeah, that's I'm not self-destructive. Yes, but at the same time, I also know that in comparison to many other countries, there is a higher level of free speech in Jamaica. Don't cuss, don't fight. It is what it is. All right, and so it is this level of free speech that allows us to talk our frustration out. And then because we talk out the frustration in countries where they don't have that level of free speech, they fight it out, or they burn it out, or they occupy it out. And it's something we must look at. Really? Truly. All right, we've got much more to come inside of the program. Uncle Johnson Ebb, life, prosperity, health.
The essence of power is the ability to define someone's reality and have them live according to that definition as though it is a definition of their own choosing. The essence of power is the ability to define someone's reality and have them live according to that definition as though it is a definition of their own choosing. What you do for yourself depends on what you think of yourself, and what you think of yourself depends on what you know of yourself, and what you know of yourself depends on what you have been told.
The mournful and soulful sound of Yusundo. As we say good morning to Israel Music on Twitter. Says we up and waiting, Auntie Kabu. Blessed morning to you too. At Bonton on Twitter, good morning. At Firelight on Twitter, good morning. At Miss Cobry on Twitter, good morning to you too. Good morning to at Boo Radley on Twitter. Morning to my very good friend and sister Aldith Hunker. Can't wait to see you, Aldith. Now in the Netherlands. On Twitter. My sister Imani Tafari Ama. Alright, looking forward to your book launch. We should talk about that. Alright, I'm trying to open this document on my phone. Can you give me some information, Imani? Straight to email. A little bit difficult to open on my phone. Thanks. Yasika, Ya Asantua, on Twitter, good morning to you. Kane Supreme, good morning, good morning. Robert German says, Pastor Ray Higgins, how to deactivate your Willie Lynch chip. You've sent me that. You know, it's interesting, and we talk about Willie Lynch in this space from time to time. And I know the propaganda works, but we must also, when we have new information, face that information and thereby face our weaknesses and our strengths. And it has the Willie Lynch personality, the Willie Lynch character, the Willie Lynch person, the physical Willie Lynch has been disproven. And there, from a lot of scholars who have done their due diligence on this, have found that the document itself, purporting to be written by Willie Lynch, could not have been written in the time it was said to have been written, because of the language that's used, because of the words. Some of those words weren't even known yet, weren't yet in use, put it that way, because we're not going to say coined. But and so, and in addition to that, some of the, and in terms of what the scholars have said, those who have researched the idea and the person of Willie Lynch, that some of what was, some of the views, the ideologies put forward within the document are at odds with the historical fact, and that there is no record of this person, Willie Lynch, in the place that he's purported to have been at the time that the document is purported to have been written. So that the Willie Lynch, physical Willie Lynch, has been disproven. The document itself has turned out to be a false document. The ideal, though, that's put forward in the document in terms of the divide and rule and how this was done is real, and the psychic trauma is real, so that we have that to contend with. We can revisit the idea, we can revisit the Willie Lynch syndrome and the Willie Lynch document at another time, but this is what we're being told now. But while now, actually. All right, guess what we'll do until 7 o'clock? We'll open the phone lines and take your telephone calls. Know that you've got things on your mind. Later on in the program, we're also going to be opening the phone lines so that you can speak with Dr. Lorena Muir-Green. But in the meantime, in this segment, we'll open the phone lines and take your quick telephone calls for about 20 minutes or so make them short. 974-5079, 5051, 5043, and 1-888-991-4152. Those are the numbers to call. So we are taking your telephone calls right now. Thank you for your emails and thank you for your letters and so on. All right, so the phone lines are now open. 974-5079, 5051, 5043, and 1-888-991-4152. Seeking truth, learning from the past, absorbing the spirit of human possibility, honoring my moral obligation to remember. All right, going to the phone lines. Hotep?
Hotep. Morning, Mrs. Black.
Wow, that was loud. Yes, good morning.
Yeah, my real name, you know, Abdulaziz, no more Jangati.
What's your real name?
Abdulaziz, I think the name of Nation of Islam now.
Okay, Abdulaziz, good morning.
Yeah.
Hotep Abdul, go ahead.
Yeah, man, so I don't like this particular time with the beach and things, right now I'm up on the beach. At Bloody Bay and things. And now you're in the world.
Yes,
people can't own beach because the beach is natural nature and it comes with the land.
All right,
and you can't buy the ocean, you cannot buy a river, you can't buy spring.
Yes, you're sounding...
So all of these things are political, administrative.
All right, you're sounding very muffled, Abdul. You're very, very muffled. But we hear what you're saying. You're on the beach and holding that meds, but at the same time, lamenting the fact that, you know, the beach should be free, but we are being denied access. And this is one of the things...
People have political motive.
Yes, of course, much more than that. But thank you very much, my brother. Enjoy the beach.
Yes, sir.
Give thanks. Boy, I really do like the idea of holding a meds on the beach, you know, 6 o'clock in the morning. Wow, sounding good, my brother Abdul. Sounding good. You know it's sounding good. You know, if you are, and one of the things we're going to ask you to do as we ask you to call us about the land issues that you are experiencing is also to let us know where you are being denied access to the beach. Where are you being denied access to the beach in Jamaica? As we go back to the phone lines. Hotep?
Good morning.
Yeah, Hotep, my brother, go ahead. What's on your mind?
Yeah, what I want to talk about is the fact that the NHT money, the thing that the property that they said they purchased.
Yes.
The parliament was in uproar that they're using NHT money for the wrong purpose, and the private sector organization.
Mm-hmm.
But last year when they took the money, I don't remember how much they took for the MF, to help with the MF.
But with the budget, yes.
Yeah, the parliament was not in uproar, and even though they said they were borrowing the money, they did not give a timeline as to when they would repay it.
Did they say they were borrowing it? I didn't get the impression they were borrowing it.
Well, when they took it then.
Yes, when they stole it.
Yeah, when they stole it, they didn't, and nobody was in uproar over it, even though, according to them, it would make people's life better.
Well, that's the thing too, and even for... yes, go ahead.
Even though the main purpose of the NHT is to provide housing solution for people which they are not doing properly. Mm-hmm. If they're going to purchase a property and they could show accountability and use it to generate money, I think it is not a bad move even though that property right now is not.
But let me ask you a question though, because you're showing accountability is one thing, but buying a 9-acre property for $180 million, that you can't show accountability for that, no matter how hard you try.
Okay.
You can't show accountability for that, and that is a good starting place. That is a travesty. That's an outrage.
The problem, one of the main problem with it is most people are not receiving housing solution.
Well, that's the thing. And for those,
they have a lot of money to spend on poor.
That's the thing. That's the thing.
So that mean they could provide a lot more housing.
They probably could raise the threshold in terms of what people get. I hear it's 4.5 now, but 4.5 really for to build a house. I mean, what do you expect people to build? But not only that, you have your land and you can't even access monies that you have been paying into the NHT forever for whatever reason. So for me, it's a travesty, it's an injustice, it's a wrong that has been done that must be righted. That's how I see it. But thank you, my brother. I hear the point you're making.
Okay.
There should have been outrage both ways. All right, as we go back to the phone line to take your telephone calls, 974-5079, 5051, 5043, and 1-888-991-4152. There's an unfinished revolution. A revolution that must be completed. A revolution that was started by Sam Sharp, that was started by Paul Bogle, that was continued by Paul Bogle, and it's unfinished. Hotep?
Hotep, Sister Kabu.
Oh, greetings, my brother. Go ahead.
I'm here on a more family matter.
Yes.
It's the Jamaica Pledge Foundation.
Mm-hmm.
We are here asking the running African family to assist us in providing some jobs for at-risk youth that we support.
All right, tell us about the foundation. What is the Jamaica Pledge Foundation?
The Jamaica Pledge Foundation supports senior citizens, disabled, fatherless youth, and at-risk youth.
Right.
And we have established under the basis of a crowdfunding. We don't want any one person to sponsor us, because when one person sponsors anything, they sort of want to manipulate it.
Right.
So we assist persons with crowdfunding that everybody that fund have a say in it.
Mm-hmm.
So we are how to create jobs for 9 persons before the 20th of December. And we want $150 from everybody, from not everybody, but 6,000 persons. That will give us $900,000, and we are creating jobs. The jobs that we are creating now, the small business that we are trying to create is for a restaurant, or call it a deli, right?
Mm-hmm.
The name of it is 10 to 10 Deli, and the essence of it is to do food from our ancestors, like our roti, our bammies, our aki stew, and all those things.
Yeah.
We're going to use things that is around us to make money.
And
right?
where are you gonna start this restaurant?
In Montego Bay, because the foundation started in Montego Bay. It started at Salt Spring because we have a lot of disrupt youths in Salt Spring, so we decided that we would start a foundation.
All right, how many youths are you now assisting?
How
many youths are you now assisting?
Well, we have 52 kids who have lost parents that we assist, and then we are just assisting 9 youths right now to provide jobs for them, because we cannot take on more because we don't have a lot of funding.
And
so we're going to provide jobs for 9 youths.
Okay, and these 9 youths you're thinking through the restaurant. How do people get to you?
My number is 324-7999, or they can send us a email at the Jamaica Pledge Foundation at gmail.com.
That's the Jamaica Pledge?
Yes, Foundation
at gmail.com. And what's your name?
And it's Safari McIntosh.
All right. Okay. Thanks, Safari. Thanks for calling.
Yes, ma'am.
All right.
Thanks very much, Kobe.
All right. Voices of Africa. We're not Africans because we were born in Africa. We're Africans because Africa was born in us. Those are the words of Chester Higgins, Dr. Chester Higgins. As we go back to the phone lines, Hotep? Hotep? Hotep.
Okay.
Yes. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Kheru.
Hi. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine so far.
All right. What's on your mind?
The 150 million, something like that.
The 180 million.
80 million.
Yes.
Yeah. Every time I hear that sound, it in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think most of us have that reaction, especially when we think about the extent to which there's homelessness in Jamaica.
Kheru,
yeah.
A woman like you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You were sent by God to help us. Yeah.
And I think that I am my ancestor, and I think that we all came that way, realizing our purpose. Realizing our purpose, I think, is what each and every one of us need to do.
The credit is good,
yes.
But keep up the good work.
Thank you.
You are helping us a lot.
Asante sana.
Keep it up.
Give thanks.
And I pray that God will keep and guide you all the way.
Asante sana.
Yes,
Asante
you are
sana.
such a wonderful woman.
Give thanks. Asante sana. At 7 minutes now before we get to 7 o'clock. Gonna try and squeeze in 2 or 3 more in those 7 minutes. 974-5079-5051-5043 and 1-888-991-4152. Excellence is the highest form of rebellion. Okay, Hotep.
Hello,
Greetings to Nastalan.
Greetings.
Yes.
You know, we were listening to, I think it's the 13th, we were listening to other station.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's Straight Up.
Yes.
With Brother Jerry Small. And we were listening to an interview with Mr. Bruce Golding,
yes,
former Prime Minister.
Yes, I heard it.
Concerning the, concerning the pinnacle issue. And, you know, when we listen, you know, we came to the conclusion that if, you know, we said this and that about Babylon, but Babylon is what it is, you know, and Babylon would never change, you know?
Yes.
But let's deal with our family now.
Yes.
If all whom it concerns, Rastafari, how will I include everyone?
Yes.
And stick together, you know, in a cohesive, collective way and occupy that space there. You know, we would definitely get different.
And refrain from threatening people in the media like myself who take up issues like these, because I had to step back from the Pinnacle situation because of the amount of threats that came my way.
Yes, and disrespecting our beloved Virgin there, Miguel Lon.
Yes, so when
I heard people disrespecting Miguel Lon, people who supposed to be our family.
So when I heard the interview,
in the scheme of things,
when I heard the interview with Jerry Small, and Bruce Golding, Golding, because we knew this, and it has been said that one of the issues that dealt Pinnacle, the blow that Pinnacle was dealt in terms of the progress that was being made, was that family members, and I don't mean Howell family members, I mean family members in terms of the community.
Our family.
Yes, were at odds and disagreed publicly and intervened. To stop progress, a progressive situation. Now, we can talk about that publicly or we can leave it.
I'm telling you, it's sad. It's sad. It's very sad, you know. And I hope that the black conscious family learn a lesson from this, you know. I mean, it's terrible. We seem to be our own demise in lots of cases, you know.
Yes.
And we need to step up and realize that it's only when we come together and put aside all these petty kind of egoistic kind of vibes.
Yes.
We can it all together.
Yes.
We can jump to Babylon.
Yes. When I heard that interview, I thought to myself, I said to myself, you know, the most dangerous thing and the cruelest thing that can happen to any group of people is when a group fights against itself. A great race, a great people can only be destroyed from within. It's difficult to destroy a great people and a great race from outside. And as we continue to destroy ourselves from within, I think some critical reflection is needed. We have to look at ourselves in the mirror and ask what our motives are. When we respond, when we react.
Agree.
Yes,
agree. Perfect love, beloved.
Give thanks, my brother. So a brilliant interview there with Bruce Golding and Jerry Small. But, what came out of that is what we have always known and what we have said in the space in terms of the what happened. There's a question that's at the beginning of the book, The Destruction of Black Civilization. Is that book? All right, I'll soon tell you which one it is, but it asks, what happened to the people of Sumer? Now, it's a question, what happened to Pinnacle? What happened to the people of Pinnacle, and what happened to the fight for Pinnacle? As we go to the phone lines. Hotep?
Yes, greetings, Sister Andrea.
Yes, Hotep, my brother.
Yeah, man, yesterday. I and I will have to come together in the manner of I show it, with tolerance and understanding,
Yes.
And it will happen, it will happen, Originally, I had talk about what was mentioned about the Willie Lynch syndrome and the Willie Lynch letter.
Yes.
We understand as Rastafari that a lot of things from the Bible is not historically true.
Yes.
It never really goes off the true.
Yes.
But the leaders of the community had to craft some stories to guide the people to certain truth.
But the thing is that we must, as is with the Bible, so it must be with the Willie Lynch letter, we must understand that these are stories, and we must not then use them to direct our lives and to direct the lives of our children, and not only that, to create doctrines based on those stories that continue to oppress and continue to prevent us from looking at the problems that we have, saying that, that's how them set it, because that's the idea with the Willie Lynch syndrome, that's how them set it, but that's not how them set it, we changing that. So that's what I'm saying. It's the same thing with the Bible. Same thing with the stories in the Bible. Doctrines have been created around stories. Doctrines have been created around the Exodus. What if we change the reality of what happened in Egypt and look at Egypt now, the cradle of civilization, in terms of African people, where we began, where we started, Egypt has now become the symbol of that which is wrong, of paganism, of that which is wrong. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
because we take the story of the Exodus literal. We take the story of our ancestors who built pyramids, and we turned it into stories of Jews who built pyramids out of straws and mud. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
We can't get it so wrong.
True.
Yes.
Yeah, man. So it's good when you know it's a story, so you can analyze it as a story.
Yes.
Because how you analyze any literature is who write it.
Yeah.
What was their intention when they write it? What was going on around them when they write it?
Yes.
And so looking at it, you can analyze it objectively and then make your move, based off of the truth what you can see from that.
Yes, I agree with you. Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, man, give rises.
The narrative, narratives are an interesting thing. People who control the narrative control your lives, and so we must control the narrative, and we must also control our own worldview, because this is where we're going wrong in terms of a worldview. The worldview that develops out of Christendom is not our worldview. We were before that. The worldview is how we see the world, how we conceptualize the world, how we understand and interpret the world. Because it's out of that understanding, it is out of that interpretation that we are going to determine how we engage with the world around us and the world beyond us and the world outside of us and the world inside of us. When we talk about the world inside of us, we're talking about the inner world of the mind of ourselves, or the inner world of the mind of a group, or the inner world of the mind of a race of people. And it is this inner world of the mind, once we create that worldview, which we project outward through our actions. It is this worldview that determines how we react, how we respond, and the extent to which we influence the world around us. It is this worldview that determines how we create our own realities. But we have to develop that worldview. Ask yourself, how do we see the world? How do we understand the world? What is our place in the world? We have to change the narrative and do not accept anybody else's narrative. And at the same time, we're not trading off our identity or no part of our identity, including our intellectual identity, in order to fit in. We're not passing anybody else's test in order to determine whether or not we're capable. So those who control the narrative, those who control the worldview, and check the worldview, because the enslavement of millions of our ancestors came from a worldview out of Europe, which was a worldview of superiority, a worldview that you can enslave another race to get rich. You see? We have to understand that. All right, so we're going to take a quick break. Thank you for your calls. When we come back, we're going to be speaking with Carla Gulato. Now, a minute after 7 o'clock, lots happening with the denial of access, and I say the continued denial of access to our beaches. Yes, it's still happening. Apartheid-like conditions. From Negril Point to Morant Point, you can find a few beaches in between that you can just screechy onto one, and you can get a little part to kind of chill. And there are some beaches that you can still walk onto, one or two, just a handful. But for the most part, in Jamaica, a country in which, you know, it's an island. So you know what that means. We're completely surrounded by water. We're completely surrounded by beaches. And as a child, many of us had access to all of Jamaica's coastline. But gradually, as the all-inclusive territories came into being, all-inclusive hotels, and as a tourist became more important than the citizens, as a tourist became more important than the masses of the Jamaican people, as foreigners became more important in terms of so-called foreign direct investment, became more important than the masses of the Jamaican people, what we found happening was that governments, in their greed and their corruption and their lack of vision, began to deny access, sell off literally the coastline of Jamaica, locking it off, fencing it off from the masses of the Jamaican people. Where it wasn't fenced off and Jamaicans were denied access to spaces which they occupied for years, then governments, various governments at different times, have tried to remove people from these beaches. Winifred Beach is such one beach that came under intense pressure for the people to move so the land could be privatized by the Urban Development Corporation. The UDC is supposed to be a trustee. Yes, that is my understanding of it, and I have no time to debate that. The UDC has become the greatest enemy of the people of Jamaica. So the people of Portland and the lovers of Winifred Beach, supporting from all over the world, the lovers of freedom and free access to beach, supporting from all over the world, the people of Jamaica in court. So yes, it couldn't be sorted out, couldn't be mediated, couldn't be dealt with government to people. Because remember, it's government of the people, by the people, and for the people. But nobody bothered to tell the UDC that, or even the government or the parliamentarians. I think we should stop each parliamentarian as they come into their constituency or anywhere and ask them, what does democracy mean, and whether or not Jamaica is a democracy? And ask them, what is the ideal of government of the people, by the people, and for the people? And do they understand that? And why, if they do understand that, are they fighting so hard against that? And we should ask Lambert Brown about that too. All right, that's an aside. We should ask the NHT board about that too, but that's also an aside. So that the Winifred Beach, the fight for Winifred Beach ended up in the courts. A last court date just wrapped up, and we're going to talk to Carla Galata about that. Also, interestingly, and this was planned long before we know this, CNN, through Anthony Bourdain, has just filmed on Winifred Beach. It's going to be aired tonight. You know, Anthony Bourdain does this food thing all across the world. Well, it's going to be aired tonight. I don't know what is in it, what it says. But I have been tweeting. I have taken to the social media, and I have sent CNN and Anthony Bourdain lots of messages to say, do you know that Winifred Beach is in contention, that the government is trying to deny the people access to the beach? And I want you to do that for me. Go, you're on the internet. Please, look it up. The way CNN is promoting this, I think they're saying 1 fish, 2 fish, salt fish. And I'm just adding free Winifred Beach, because a lot of this was filmed on Winifred Beach. 1 fish, 2 fish, salt fish. Hashtag free Winifred Beach at CNN at Bourdain, Bourdain. Please tweet that out now for me, for the people on social media. Please go to your Facebook pages and write that to CNN. I've also said to CNN that maybe now you will come and cover the debate on access to beaches in Jamaica, that you have done this on the beautiful Winifred Beach. So we're joined on the phone lines by the debate on access to beaches in Jamaica, that you have done this on the beautiful Winifred Beach. So we're joined on the phone lines by Carla Galata. Carla, good morning.
Good morning, Andrea. You look passionate today.
Thank you very much. Thank you. When it comes to, as you know, Carla, and so are you, when it comes to our ability and whether or not we are denied access to a place like the water, like the ocean, like the sea, like the sand, I am very, very passionate about that, and I know you are too.
You are absolutely right. And I think people do not realize how far we reach with the fact that there is no more space for Jamaica to use the beaches. Because Winifred Beach is an example, but look at the north coast. Mm-hmm. You can drive through for miles and miles, but if you want to take a swim, you better reach 300 kilometers after, because there is no way between one hotel and the other one to access the sea.
None at all. And we're building more and more hotels, and the more hotels we build, the more we fence off and wall off. I saw driving through discovered Runaway Bay just recently, a wall looking like the wall that's going up between Palestine and Israel, and the one that had gone up between the two Germanys. I saw a wall just the same going up in Runaway Bay, and I thought and this wall is really blocking off nothing apart from the beach, access to the ocean, and that's an interesting thing. But that is what is happening across Jamaica. So it's really an apartheid-like situation. But I must congratulate the people of Portland, the Free Winifred Beach Committee, and the activists who said not Winifred Beach. And you led one of the leaders of that group, Carla. You've been in court for how long? You there, Carla? Think we lost her? All right. She did tell me she was having some difficulties with the phone, so we're going to hang up and call her right back. But you know, in Israel is now building a wall, and it's miles long, and it's as high as anything you've ever seen, and it's thicker than anything that you've known, and it cannot be penetrated by anything, not even a bomb, not even a smart missile. I don't know what can destroy that. And Israel is building this wall to separate itself and to prevent Palestinians from having their own state. And this is the kind of situation we see happening in Jamaica when it comes to the beaches. All right, so Carla, you're back with us?
Yes, there was a little sabotage, but I came back.
All right, here you are. Brilliant. So Carla, how long has this... No, first of all, give us a background to the Winifred Beach saga.
Well, it's a long story, because Winifred Beach has always been a public beach since ever, and is a sort of heritage place for Portlanders, which become a national place in the holidays. I think that you got some pictures of the crowd when it's like Easter Monday, Heroes Weekend. There are people coming from all over Jamaica to enjoy the beach. It is a public beach. Behind the beach, by the way, there was a rest home, which was very useful because it was sheltering in case of emergencies, Asians, homeless, whatever. In 1976, the beach was donated by a gentleman to the community of Ferril. And there was a trust which was administrating the beach. In 1976, UDC acquired the land. It has been very difficult, and it is still difficult to find out how this happened. Because according to the various investigations, there never was a meeting, or there never was a statement, a decision from the trustees. So somebody which was administrating the beach sold the beach to UDC. The reason why is because some land taxes were not paid by the trust. Since then, nothing happened until 1994. People were using the beach. And then in 1994, there was the first attempt from UDC to take over the beach. And there were some huge riots in the area. People were blocking the road, fighting, etc., etc. So UDC decided to leave it as it is. And then they came back again 5 years ago with a little piece of notice on a tree on the beach stating that all the vendors which are there should have been going away within 2 weeks. From there, the struggle started. I am very proud that they asked me to assist them. I'm not an expert in environment, but I'm a lover of Winifred Beach because I'm a Portlander. So we create a team which became the famous Free Winifred Benevolent Society, composed from a lot of people from the area, some people from outside, even some people out from Jamaica. And we started to fight, stating that beach is for Jamaicans. UDC was not particularly satisfied about that. We were trying a couple of mediation. It never worked out. We end up in court. And can you hear me?
Yes, we're hearing you very well.
I know, I feel fear, because before
I know you had that disconnection, yes.
We got help from a person which I want to remember today, John Maxwell. John Maxwell was helping us a lot, not only writing on the media, but also giving us some useful tips, because he was sitting on the National Beaches board. So, he was telling us.
And I noticed also with the research that he had a lot of information in terms of the research.
Right.
Yes.
And he had much more than what we could get by ourselves.
Yes.
He was telling us that if a beach is public for 25 years without any interruption, it cannot be made private. With this information, we went to some elders which are living in the community, and they were writing a statement saying that they were using the beach since 30 years and more. And that was how we end up in court.
Yes.
We have been in court until 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago, I don't know. I have a very good news and I have a bad news. The very good news is that finally Winifred Beach is public, because we have signed in front of the judge together with the UDC that beach cannot be made private.
All right.
And that is very good.
That is very good news. That is a win, Carla. That's a win, because the idea, I know that there was an idea to make that beach private and to build condos, a resort on the beach. So the fact that out of many years of back and forth in court, that this is coming out now, that Winifred Beach is a public beach according to the order by the judge, and it cannot be made private, is something to celebrate. But I hear you saying it's good news and bad news.
Well, I don't want to celebrate before I have a 100% happiness, but still I have a 50, which is already a lot.
Yes.
The thing is, what's going to happen now? Now, remember that Winifred is part of a big property which has been acquired by UDC, which is including all the land between the beach and the main road, including the poor rest home, which is falling apart because Since UDC took over, nobody used it, nobody could fix it. It's there, dead. Now, UDC and Free Winifred signed the fact that that piece of land, which is the beach and the parochial road and the other road leading to the beach, are public.
No, say that.
Within the 90 days, UDC has to send to court and to our attorneys the new land title.
Okay.
Where UDC is somehow cut off from the rest of the property and become a public beach. Good news. But what's going to happen now? Because nobody can discuss with UDC about who is going to run the beach.
Okay.
And you know, Andrea, that a public beach in Jamaica can be still a beach with a fence, can be still a beach with an entrance fee, can be still controlled by UDC.
Yes.
I was reading on the newspaper 2 days ago that UDC is trying to find somebody to run Dance River Falls. Did you see that?
I saw that, yes.
So why they wanna come and take Winifred Beach from the people? So what we are doing now, because the fight is not finished, there is another session which is gonna be bloody. We want the beach to run by ourselves, and we are applying to UDC to give us the beach. Mm-hmm. We are ready to pay some money. But
we is a Free Winifred Beach Benevolent Society.
Yes.
Okay. Brilliant.
I think that, Andrea, it is 5 years and more, and the years before I don't even mention, that the people on the beach and around the beach keep the beach going. There are bathrooms, there are people cleaning the beach, there are people trying to secure the beach, there are lifeguards when there is a holiday. All of this has been done by locals, by themselves, which, first of all, need to be commended for the long-term commitment.
Yes.
Second thing, we have an expertise, because we did it.
Yes.
So people can come and talk on top of whatever that the bathroom needs to be implemented. We are ready to do it now.
Yes.
If we get the beach, but we cannot afford, with the little bit of money that we have, to work some implementation and 3 days after UDC come down and tell us to evacuate the beach. So that's why we decided that the next part of the struggle is, now that is a public beach, we are ready to control the beach at our very best capacity. We want it.
All right, so we're halfway there. The victory is halfway won, right? And so the luta continua, Evitora is certain. The struggle continues, but victory is certain. So, Carla, what it seems like to us now is that we're going to have to put our shoulders to the wheel, sit down again as before, knock heads together, and see what the strategy should be going from here. And it's
right, because
that's the next
you
one.
see, if you, on the other hand, you have to be down to earth. If we decided to try to run the beach, we have to do it properly.
Yes.
So we will have to draft a plan. Mm-hmm. We did it already. We wrote it. We send it to the Prime Minister, no answer. We send it to another Prime Minister, no answer. We send it to a couple of parliamentarians, no answer. We send it to the MP in Portland, which has ignored the full issue forever. Mm-hmm. So it's not that politically we have any support, but the support is coming from the people.
Yes.
And another thing that should be added, what you said before, public beaches, plural, because what happened at Winifred, it's happening in other places.
Yes.
And if there is not a different policy on public beach, that may happen over and over and over. I'm happy to save Winifred Beach. but I would be much more happy if we have a rules, a regulation, and a law, which is allowing people in Jamaica to go to the beach without spending 1,000 Jamaican dollars in trans fee.
Yes. Winifred Beach, though, is ground zero. Winifred Beach is a symbol. Winifred Beach becomes now the standard by which, in terms of how we go forward. And there are many fights. There are many battles out there in terms of the beaches in every single parish in Jamaica where we've got a beach or two. And I'm sure that person's listening now in Hanover, in St. Mary, across the North Coast, in St. James, in Negril, are saying, okay, great. Now we are halfway there in Winifred. Because, Winifred is very public and has been doing this for many years. And sometimes it seemed as if it would not happen. But halfway there now. I know the strategy is being developed in terms of how to move from here. So we hope to talk to you again very soon, Carla, in terms of how we go. I know CNN was there recently filming Anthony Bourdain, and my question to you was, and I'd ask you publicly again, did this come up at all? Do they know about this? Do they know the contention that we have with Winifred Beach?
Well, I'm happy that CNN will show up something concerning Winifred Beach tonight, but I am more happy if the support comes from Jamaica. I'm happy for help from abroad, but we should try to help ourselves.
Agreed.
And the other thing is that CNN thing might be somehow making it famous all over the rest of the world. But we the people, are we ready to struggle? Are we ready to fight? Because we cannot expect that somebody from outside will do it for us.
No.
Maybe we can do it together, but we should be leading whatever is happening in Jamaica for Jamaicans.
Agreed with you, Carla. It always works when the problem is internationalized.
Right.
But the question, but I don't know if CNN even took it from that angle. I'll be watching that.
I have to watch it myself because I was not on the beach when it happened, and so honestly, I don't know exactly what has been. I'm sure because I know that they were interviewing some of the people which are fighting, so I'm sure that they got some interesting point. But I cannot say a word until I see it, and I will be watching it tonight.
Later on this evening.
I'm asking you, Andrea, I want to ask you a favor today. I want to I cannot call all the names, but I want to thank you. All the people on the beach, Cynthia, Joy, Madge, Doreen, Dongu, all the ones. And all the one which has been working. Yes, nobody knows them. Yes. Nobody knows them. Yes. And the little people on the beach that have been struggling and struggling and struggling. They should be famous.
True. And, one of the things, as you said, that we're going to invite the entire team into the studio, or we come down there. Hopefully we'll get permission from the youth.
Yes.
And to broadcast live from Winifred Beach. I think that we need to take, and we've been trying for years to take the program there, but haven't been able to. But we're still trying. It's part of the struggle too. So Carla, we're
let's do it, and let's do it in a happy mood. Yes. We can have a little party too.
Oh, most definitely.
Yes.
Thank you.
Free Winifred, happy day.
Free Winifred Beach. The struggle continues. Victoria is certain. Thank you very much, Carla. We'll keep in touch.
Thank you, and thank you to you and to IDFM, because you have been really extremely supportive. But without you, we didn't have no voice until now.
Thank you so much, Carla. Well, the struggle is half won. The struggle continues. This is what people power can do, but the struggle continues, because now that the people have shown that we can stand up for ourselves, and the judge has ordered that Winifred Beach is a public beach, the people are saying, we want to run it. We want to control it. We want to run it as a benevolent society. We want to do it. What is the problem with that? Government of the people, for the people, by the people, government that love the people. What's the problem with that? What's the main issue with that? Winifred Beach, hold strong. Little Ochi, hold strong. Reggae Beach, hold strong because there's an apartheid situation happening there. Beaches in Priory, hold strong. Beaches in the Grill, hold strong. Now you know. Now you know that we can do it. Hold strong. Where they are denying you access to the beach, hold strong. If it has to go to court, let it go to court. But hold strong.
Stay out late at night.
You know, this song was written by, I think, one of the Brownies, and it was done in reaction and in response to the apartheid situation in South Africa. It was so bad. And then when this song was done, I remember for us here in Jamaica just listening to Brian and Tony Gold. It was a sad situation for us. We teared up. For me especially, I mean, I remember literally crying inside. Just listening to the words and lyrics of this song about South Africa and the way that black people in South Africa were denied access to the beach, that you couldn't swim on any beach you want to. But this song has now become the soundtrack for the fight for access to the beach in Jamaica, because the Jamaican government, JLP and PNP, have presided over an apartheid-like situation. It's apartheid at its highest situation here in Jamaica, where so many Jamaicans are denied access to the beach. Winifred Beach is a symbol, is a standard, is ground zero. We're going there. To the people on Winifred Beach, good morning to you. To the people who fought, good morning to you. We see them fencing off many, many more places. Robbins Bay, we see them fencing you off. You know, we used to just walk and go down to the sea. I mean, from your hit Robbins Bay, you can't just walk off anywhere. Go sit down on a rock and just chill. Up our fences now. St. Mary, we see a lot of fences going up. And concrete walls going up across the coastline of Jamaica. We say Portia Simpson Miller, tear down these walls that are blocking us from the beaches.
Stay out late at night when you want to. Are there no signs in town? Say we want no blacks around. You must be living at the paradise. The trivial things I won't tell.
Hey, by the way, we've got the deed. We've got the deed in our hand. I've got the deed. I've got the documents on Fisherman's Beach. And I've got the deed. I've got the documents on Laughing Waters. And unless something gone seriously wrong, just like how we don't know UDC come to control Winifred Beach, we know that we've got the deed that gave UDC control of Laughing Waters. But we know that in that deed, it also says that this must remain a public property. So we want to ask UDC a question, and sometimes for us, the questions are more important than the answers. How come Laughing Waters is a private place? How come the Chinese are now telling Jamaicans who are jogging in the area that them soon can't jog here? Because it is now their property. How come the Roaring River watershed is being considered, if not already given to China in Jamaica? How come? People power is what we're calling for. People power is what we're calling on. We must stand up for something or fall for anything. We must stand up, Jamaican people. We must stand up against injustice. We must stand up against oppression. We must not stand by and allow the government to deny us of so much that belongs rightfully to us. We must stand up against this injustice. We must. We have no choice but to stand up against oppression. We must do so or die. At History African on Twitter says, power to our freedom fighters. It was a similar situation that happened with Laughing Waters and the UDC, my queen sister. Yes, but the deed to Laughing Waters says that it's public. It belongs to the people. And where you are on the beaches now, remember, the trick is to get you off the beach. Remember, the trick is to get you to leave. Do not leave, because once you leave, you change the dynamic. Stay and fight. You've been there for 30 years, for 25 years, for 50 years, for 45 years. Do not leave. Stay and fight. My sister Akila Mantado, Akila on Twitter, says there are similar issues about public access to the coast of the USA as well. We know that, and I know especially in Los Angeles they have started a Free the Beach campaign, and it's been running for quite a while. But we've got to find. Watch the beaches that you go to that you've paid to go in, because there's some beaches you've got to pay $500 to go in. And when you pay to go in with your family, you're shuttled to one area. And you're shuttled to one area because they don't want you to mix with the white people and the tourists who are coming in on the cruise ship from the other area. So when you go, stand up for your right. It's happening right here in Ocho Rios. Segregation on the beach. So we've got a lot that we're fighting in this our 52nd year of so-called independence. It's an unfinished revolution. We're learning from the past. We're seeking the truth. We're absorbing the spirit of human possibility, what we can do, what we can achieve, and at the same time, we're honoring our moral obligation to remember Sam Sharp, to remember Paul Boger, to remember Nanny of the Maroons, to remember Chief Tai Chi.
The essence of power is the ability to define someone's reality and have them live according to that definition as though it is a definition of their own choosing. What you do for yourself depends on what you think of yourself, and what you think of yourself depends on what you know of yourself, and what you know of yourself depends on what you have been told.
All right, we've got coming up in a little while, we're going to be speaking with Dr. Lorena Muir-Green, dermatologist. Dr. Lorena Muir-Green is a practicing dermatologist in Jamaica. She graduated from the University of the West Indies. And as I told you before, she obtained a double major in chemistry and biochemistry. She then went on to pursue a career in medicine, having obtained her medical degree from UWI. She went on to pursue postgraduate specialization in clinical dermatology at Cardiff University, for which she got distinction. She was a recipient of a 2013 fellowship in hair and scalp disorders at the University of British Columbia. She's also a member of the North American Hair Research Society, the International Society of Hair Restoration Surgery, Dermatology Association of Jamaica, as well as an associate member of the Caribbean Dermatology Association. She currently works at the Dermatology Clinic at the National Chest Hospital, where she recently established a hair clinic. She runs a blog, askthehairdoc.com, so you can check that out, where she discusses hair scalp disorders with the general public. In a little while, we'll be talking to her. We're talking about black skin, black hair. And that will coming your way shortly. Looking at basic hair and skin care in African people, black people. She's also going to be focusing on some of the common skin diseases in Jamaica and zooming in on skin cancers in black people. We don't hear a lot about that. Hair loss, identity, black skin, black hair within our own context. That's coming up shortly inside of the program. In the meantime, we've got a few questions that we've got to pose. And they are all random questions. So bear with me while we pose them. We think the questions are more important than the answers. The answers are usually in the questions, you see. Later on in the bottom line, we're going to be talking about China. And the bottom line this morning is arguing that if China is a development partner with Jamaica and not an economic competitor or a new colonizer, then security and protection must be a two-way conversation. So one of the questions we're posing this morning in this space at this time is China a development partner in Jamaica, an economic competitor in Jamaica, or a new colonizer in Jamaica? We must answer that question, and we must determine what China is in Jamaica. Once we answer that question, then we can also determine what our engagement with China will look like. All right. And here's another question. How is it that in 2014, in a country with one of the largest UN peacekeeping missions in the world, tens of thousands of people can be killed and no one can even begin to confirm the death toll? How come? How many dead in South Sudan? The official figure is 50,000. It could be 1 million. The UN, the largest UN peacekeeping mission in the world, is in South Sudan. And they said they have lost count of the number dead. How many dead in South Sudan as the war rages on over oil? China in the middle. South Sudan has been locked in a war for over 11 months. It's not making the mainstream. It's not making the Western news. UN, Africans, the AU, nobody knows. We're being told that the raids are happening on homes, entire families, entire communities, entire neighborhoods are wiped out, and the bodies of the dead burnt on the spot or carted off in trucks and dumped to be forgotten forever. How come in 2014, in a country with one of the largest UN peacekeeping missions in the world, tens of thousands of people can be killed and no one can even begin to confirm the death toll? 50,000, 1 million, 2 million, we do not know. Failure to count the dead in Sudan is a scandal. Why is there no concerted effort to end the war in Sudan? And here's another question, and I did tell you they were random questions, but I think the questions are more important than the answers. We had a large peacekeeping UN force in Haiti too, and cholera broke out, killing thousands of Haitians, and no one has paid. What's really happening in Nigeria? Of the hundreds of girls captured, 219 girls kidnapped from Chibok by Boko Haram are still missing. Still missing. 219 young girls. It's not funny. 219. Put 219 young girls in your yard, in your mind, where you are now. Just put them in your mind, in your yard. Put them in your mind, wherever you are. If you're on the bus, put them on the bus. Can they hold on the bus? 219 young girls? Can they hold in your car? Are you driving past somewhere? Can they hold in that space you're looking at there right now? Where can they hold? Well, they are still missing. President Goodluck Jonathan has repeatedly promised to rescue the schoolgirls, and now Goodluck Jonathan is running for another term because there's another election in Nigeria in February, and February 14, and he's promising again as he launched his bid for the second term that he will rescue these 219 girls. Boko Haram, in the meantime, has seized Chibok. Boko Haram is now in total control of Chibok, and they have renamed it Mandinatul Islam, City of Islam. Here is another random question. Which way is Jamaica going on GMOs, genetically modified organisms, and food sovereignty? And who speaks for us on the Codex Alimentarius? Who speaks for us? Where is Jamaica going on genetically modified foods? What do we know about genetically modified foods and products and plants and so on coming into Jamaica? And what voice do we have on Codex Alimentarius? And here's another random one. Is Africa really rising? We're going to discuss that as the weeks go by, though. This is a topic, including GMOs too, that we're going to be talking about. Is Africa really rising? In Namibia, the Standard Bank of Namibia set up specialized units to manage the growing Chinese investment in Namibia. So Namibia now has specialized units just to manage China's investment in Namibia. Think about it. In Ghana, the Ghanaian Bank has launched a China desk, which is fully dedicated to Chinese corporations in Ghana. Think about it. And the Chinese envoy to Namibia has sponsored 20 University of Nairobi students, and many more are going to China on scholarships as African students. Right now, the Ethiopia Expo is just about wrapping up. Oh yes, it's still going on. Over 100 Chinese enterprises are participating in the Ethiopia Expo. How many Jamaican enterprises participating in the Ethiopia Expo right now? Over 100 Chinese enterprises. Is Africa really rising? Who controls the narrative on whether or not Africa is rising? It's going to take us back to the world view. Who is Africa rising for? And is growth in terms of statistics the same as transformation in terms of reality of the lives and the livelihoods of people? So as we stand by to speak with Dr. Lorena Green, how do you see the world? How do you understand the world? How do you interpret it? How do you see yourself in the world? The fact that you're born in a state of decay doesn't mean that your inheritance has to be garbage. Let us clean up this garbage. We're standing by to speak with Dr. Lorena Green, dermatologist. Black skin, black hair. Now, 7:49, a very pleasant morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us inside of the Africa Forum. It's Running Africa, and we go through until 10 o'clock when the Big A comes in with the Sunday Sunshine. Black skin, black hair with Dr. Lorena Green, dermatologist, coming up right now. Morning to you, my friend and sister, Sonia Stanley Naya at Culture Doctor. Morning to you. Seeing you on Twitter. 10 minutes now, going up to 8 o'clock. And Dr. Lorena Muir-Green joins me in the studio as we focus on black skin, black hair. And does Dr. Lorena Muir-Green have a head of hair on her? I couldn't resist that. And it's beautiful. It really is. All natural, all beautiful, and all hair. Good morning, Dr. Muir-Green. How are you?
Good morning.
May I just tell you, I just love your hair.
Thank you.
I don't need to hear anything for you. I don't care about your qualifications. You are qualified for this segment of the program, just presentation-wise, can I tell you? All right. Beautiful, beautiful. All right. We've talked a little bit about your achievements and that you've been so involved. Just looking at you, you're pretty young, so you've been studying all your life.
Yes, I have been.
Yes. I thought so. All right. So now and you've been all over the world in terms of your studies too.
Yes, I have been.
Right. Sorry, just grab the mic a little. Just pull the mic a little to you. Yes, thanks. All right. Yes.
Yes, I have been. I first did my first degree in chemistry and biochemistry at UWI. Then I went on to do medicine at UWI. After that, I went to the UK to do dermatology. Came back to Jamaica, finished up, and then went to Canada. I was able to get a fellowship in hair and scalp disorders in Canada, where I stayed there for a year and just came back to Jamaica this year.
Okay. Well, welcome back and welcome forward. Very, very happy to have you back. And we'll talk a little bit about your pedigree in a short while. But first of all, let's talk about what is dermatology?
Well, dermatology is the medical... it's the medical specialty that deals with the skin and the appendages of the skin, meaning the hair and the nails. So skin, hair, and nails, that's what we do.
So most people, when they hear dermatology, they think just skin.
Yes.
But it's skin, hair, and nails.
Yes.
All right. We're going to focus a lot on the skin and the hair this morning, but the nails, what in particular about the nails? I mean, what can happen to nails? Ingrown nails? And
yes, you have ingrown nails, they have fungus. You know, a lot of people, especially in Jamaica, have nail fungus. You can have actually bony growths within the nail and all sorts of strange and fabulous things that can happen in the nails.
I'm looking at mine, I'm thinking, wow, we don't think much about our nails unless we're having problems with them. But this morning we're focusing on black skin, black hair, which that would be of relevance to almost all of us here in Jamaica. 99%, at least 95% of Jamaicans would be interested in a conversation such as this. So what makes black skin black and black hair black?
Okay, what is special and unique to us is that for black skin, everybody, what people don't understand or people don't know is that every human being, no matter what race you are, has the same number of melanin producing cells. It's just the amount of production of the melanin, which is the pigment that you see in our the skin color, is different. So what happens in black people specifically is that we produce more of the melanin, and that's why our skin looks the way it does. In terms of the functioning of the skin, it's no different from any other race. It's just you know, the skin is the first line of defense in a lot of things in our body, pretty much. I mean, it's the largest organ in the body, and basically it has the same thing. You have the top layer, which is called epidermis, the fat below, and basically you have the layer of water that is within the skin. You have all sorts of fats within the skin, ceramides and all of these fancy stuff that keeps the water layer nice and plump, so that you know how young skin feels, and when you touch it, that's how if it's all functioning well, it looks and feels good. And then from the immunological perspective, where the skin has lots of I would say, immune cells, or your white blood cells that are responsible for trying to protect any organism that comes in, breaches into any cuts into the skin, all of that. So it's a really, a functioning organ. You just don't think of it in that manner.
And it's interesting you should say that it's a functioning organ, because that really you don't see it that way, because the only thing organ is in the heart, the lungs,
right.
but definitely not the skin.
Right.
But you say it functions.
Right.
It's an organ, meaning what? It breathes. It lives, it feels it.
Right. You have all of the sensory, or you have the nerves within the skin. You have the blood vessels that provide the skin and the nutrients to the skin. You have your skin actually interacts with the moisture around you, depending on how much, like for instance, the type of you can actually lose water from when you're very hot. Skin can be dry. You feel when it's humid, the skin feeling clammy. It's very interactive. It's just that we don't really think about it in that manner.
Really, the largest organ then?
Yes, it is.
So that how you treat your skin then is very, very important.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. What we don't think about is just basic skin care. People just go about their lives and doing their whatever they feel like, but really and truly, the skin is the first thing that everybody sees. Nothing is more distressing, and what a lot of people don't understand or don't realize how distressing skin diseases are psychologically for people. Because if your skin doesn't look good, and in Jamaica where everybody's like, why is skin looking like that? And random strangers just say it to people. It's very very distressing, very concerning for persons who actually have a skin disease. But then there are persons who have normal skin but don't necessarily take care of it, and it's the first sign of aging. The skin age, there are persons who are in their 70s, 80s, and when you look at their actual texture of their skin, it doesn't look any worse than a 40-year-old. And there are others, when you see them, you're like, what happened?
So what could cause the skin to, or what are some of the things that people could do to their skin that would be impact negatively on the skin?
Okay, so first, basically, first of all, what you bathe with. A lot of persons in Jamaica, we just love cake soap and carbolic soap, and those soaps are really for persons who are in some sort of industrial place where all sorts of grime go on their skin. It's not necessary to use something that is so stripping.
Like carbolic?
Yes. It's very popular now, and every day we're telling people, please don't use carbolic soap. Please, begging you.
What does carbolic soap do? Because there's an old wives' tale in Jamaica about carbolic soap. You must have that. It's in the folklore.
I know it's kind of antiseptic, but it
is?
Yeah, somewhat antiseptic, but
so it strips the skin, you're saying?
Yes, it does. It dry you out, and the more dry you are, especially as you get older, because older skin is drier than younger skin. The drier you are, the more you itch, and then the more you scratch, and then more things happen, and you just keep going and going and going. That's the number one thing. Bathing with a soap or something that is moisturizing. That is one thing. Next thing is to use lotion. Some sort of moisturizer on the skin, because as you get older, your skin doesn't quite function the way it used to, and you're not able to produce as much. Well, in older persons, they don't produce as much fat in the fatty layer in the skin, and so you lose a lot more water, because you need a fat to hold back the water, which is necessary to keep the skin feel. And so I recommend that you use some sort of lotion or even shea butter or something like that to keep the skin feeling good.
Okay.
That's the first step.
All right, go ahead.
Other things that could potentially affect your skin age, the sun. I mean, we're surrounded by it in Jamaica, but UVB gives skin has issues with skin cancer. UVA, which is the other thing that can penetrate penetrate glass, ages you. And therefore, a lot of times when you see persons who work in the sun a lot, like farmers, their skin, they're more wrinkled than the regular population in our population.
So that the idea that if you can use a carbolic soap, you can be out in the sun and so on, but as long as you use the lotions and all of that, you're fine. You're saying it's not really so?
No. It's skincare has to be something that you do on a daily basis. You can't just go out there and just abuse the skin and then years later think, because abuse of skin, it's happens today, but the result you see years later. So a lot of persons, especially myself, I had sunburns as a child, and then now I'm actually seeing the effects as an adult.
Oh, you're seeing it?
Yeah, they're not that much. It's just, people call them freckles, but they're not freckles.
Okay, well, maybe I'm a bit far from you. All right, so now you're seeing the effects of the sunburn.
Yeah.
So you're saying that how you treat your skin years ago, it might just manifest. It would not necessarily manifest immediately,
right?
But over time, you'll definitely see what damage has been done. All right, hold for me, Dr. Lorena Muir-Green. Black skin, black hair is what we're talking about this morning. Quick break. We'll be right back. 2 minutes after 8 o'clock. Remember that at 8:30, it'll be time for your dollars. Pick 2, pick 3, pick 4 cash pot, early bird draws here on IRA FM. And then later on in the morning, we hope to open the phone line so you can ask questions of Dr. Lorena Muir-Green as we talk about black skin, black hair in this segment of the program. So, Dr. Muir-Green, let us talk a little bit now about what I know everybody waiting for us to ask about, because we talk about the soap and the sun and so on. But then there is this big thing that happens not just in Jamaica but across the world, even in China, which is the bleaching of the skin. How does that really affect the skin in terms of the damage? What the worst case scenario?
Well, with the worst case scenario, it all depends on what you're using to bleach your skin, because there are several agents that are being used out there. The most common in our setting is the steroid creams. Steroid creams have their use in medicine. We use it a lot for like inflammatory conditions like eczema and those kind of things. So that is what their purpose is for. But when the side effects, when you want to use it illegally or illicitly for the side effects, which it bleaches out the skin, what happens is that if you're doing it from head to toe, you can get several things happening. You can first absorb a whole lot more than you should, because anything that goes onto the skin is absorbed.
And that means it seeps into the body for listeners who don't understand what absorb means. So you can actually, whatever you use on the skin, you're saying it will be absorbed into the body.
Right.
Past the skin and go inside the body.
Yes. Yes.
And the bleaching cream will do that.
Yes, if you use it for whole body, which we see when you walk on the street, you see people doing whole body bleaching. If you're just using it on a small area, it's not much that's going to be absorbed, so it's not going to have any effects inside the body. But persons who are doing whole body bleaching, they can have the side effects of what you take when you actually take oral steroids, and these are one, you can see the moon face, which is where the face gets bigger. The person can get, increasing their tummy getting bigger. They can have hypertension, developing all sorts of things. And we've had a few patients who have presented with that kind of...
That's interesting, because we've had many discussions on this, but we hear more about the damage to the skin itself. But here you're talking about even hypertension, high blood pressure.
Yes.
As a result of bleaching.
Yes.
That's interesting, yes.
There haven't been a lot of studies or data collected, unfortunately, but there were some persons were saying, I think it was a study in Nigeria that was saying about its effects on women the children of women, the babies of women
who bleach.
And they think that they may be a little bit small for birth. small birth weight for the expected thing. But unfortunately, with a lot of black diseases out there and black everything, there are not lots of studies done, data being collected. It's a whole lot of
in terms of, and it's a good point you make in terms of the things that impact and that affect people of African descent, that we tend to cite the research that is done for Europeans, for other races.
Yeah.
And so why is it that we don't have enough of this kind of research being done about black people? Although I know a lot has been done on melanin.
Well, a lot of the high-tech things or equipment that you would need are not in our countries. I mean, they're not cheap to get. They're not cheap to maintain. Depends on the infrastructure of they're not cheap to maintain. Depends on the infrastructure of the system, getting the studies done, how many people you actually have available, how many doctors are available to do these studies. It's so many variables that are out there, and it's really sad because it is in the countries that have who are more resource, rich. Not many black people are over there, so they're not going to care about what we are.
Right, unless they're going to be studying how to kill black people, which is what a lot of them do. But what's interesting, though, is that we were talking this morning about worldview and what that means in terms of how we see ourselves in the world and what the narrative and how we view ourselves now and for the future. And I think part of that in correcting this deficit that we have as a race has to come from research, has to come from science and technology.
Yes.
But somehow we're lagging behind.
I think it's the general belief or just apathy by different governments not really realizing how much science can truly benefit us, because we put a lot of effort into business but not realize
tourism
and IT, and then science gets pushed behind, and science runs the world really and truly.
That's true, and I hear now at we're still congratulating and applauding the Ministry of Youth and some of the work that they have been doing, because we've been looking at it, some of the works behind the scenes and the Pondakana things and so on, trying to reach the youth where they are. But this idea of saying to young people that the service industry is a future, service is what you look to, service is what you go into, when science and technology is really where we should be focusing our attention. I think we really are sending the wrong message to our young people. But to come back, Dr. Muir Green, to bleaching on the skin, and I know we kind of went off on that tangent because we were talking about the studies on how exactly are black people impacted when you do like the full body bleach, and what happens when it seeps in. And you were talking about hypertension as one of the side effects of that, and that study out of Nigeria which shows that the unborn child is also appears to be impacted by bleaching also. Here in Jamaica, a lot of persons, when you talk to them about bleaching, they really would rather bleach. They'll face the consequences. Do you think that there are enough information is not available to them as to what the consequences are?
They are, for the most part, I would say not entirely, but we have done, as an association, Dermatology Association of Jamaica, especially in the last about 5 to 10 years ago, gone into schools talking about the side effects of bleaching and talking about the skin side effects, meaning directly on the skin, the whole body acne, which is very hard to get rid of. Sometimes people getting skin ringworm that takes up almost the entire body. The easy bruising, and not be able to have the skin integrity that you want to have. We have done some sort of public health work, but with respect to people are aware of it because they are aware of the stretch marks. They see their friends and them say, "Oh, their skin bust up," and them get them skin with the fungus and everything. They are aware of those things, but because of it's a mental. I call it mental anguish, because really and truly what we're suffering is from body dysmorphic disorder, which is a term meaning that we are not happy with what we look like and who we are, and so we need to modify in every which way to look to appear the way that we think looks better or is better appreciated in society.
And so this is called body dysmorphic disorder.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I know that when you talk about bleaching, we get into the questions of identity and whether or not people love themselves as Africans. Is that, and for me, I'm always on the fence with that, because we have the other issues to deal with in terms of what once you bleach, you're seen. Once you bleach, you get the job. Once you bleach, you have access. Once you bleach, think life is easier. So is it that somebody really hate, or you do this to get ahead? But then there is this whole disorder now that you talk about. Tell me how that present body dysmorphic disorder.
You will, to the most famous case is what's his name? Michael Jackson. He started out, Gladwell. He says that he has vitiligo. We will just work with that. But
you alone can work with that.
But the whole everything changed, the whole nose being changed, and how many times he's done plastic surgery. And there are lots of persons who are addicted to plastic surgery. That they present that they come back again and they want this fix and they want that fix. The persons who we're not really that much affected, but we do have a few persons with anorexia nervosa and bulimia nervosa where they starve themselves to eat. Those kind of eating disorders, they all come under body dysmorphic disorder. And for us, with our identity, I think even though we've accepted that straight hair is how we're supposed to be walking around, when you talk to persons about, okay, you have a hair disease, a scalp disorder, and you need to go back natural, and they're looking at you like you have horns coming out of your head, and there's no way that they're going to do it, and yet they're going to say, oh, the hair was so tough, them can't comb them hair. And I'm like, well, if I at 14 years old can get up and go, you know what, I'm going to learn how to comb my hair. Then,
and I'll just say, as I said before, you got a head of hair. It's a whole lot of natural hair. You've got a lot of hair, and it's all natural.
Yes.
All right. So other people understand that it must be. You were a little bit late this morning. You know that. Okay. All right. Not saying anything about the hair because it's not. It's just combed. Right. All right. But so you're saying that part of this body dysmorphic disorder. Is what when people are not comfortable with themselves, so we see this not happy with themselves, resulting in bleaching and so on. And then let's take it to the hair then where you've gone. What can we do to our hair to damage that? Because we talk about the skin, the bleaching and the soaps and so on.
Okay, for our hair is very unique. Our hair is the damage that we can put onto our hair mainly has to do with how the hair is structurally itself. Our hair is not as strong as we think it is. It's actually quite weak. It's actually very easy to break our hair. They've done studies to show this, comparing African to Asian to European hair. It's easy to break. It doesn't have the coating of natural sebum, which is the oils that we produce from the scalp and from on our face. Person with shiny face, that is the natural sebum. Even
you say it's not on our hair?
It's not. It doesn't flow down our hair because our hair is curly.
Okay, hold on. I have to take a break and give us enough time to come back and talk about the hair. Quick break. You're inside of the Africa Forum, Running African, and we're speaking with Dr. Lorena Muir-Green, dermatologist, black hair, black skin. And Dr. Muir-Green, just before we went into the break, you were telling us about black hair.
Yes.
And that because it is curly, it doesn't absorb, it doesn't have the oils from the face and so on.
No, the oil from the scalp, which we produce, does not, it doesn't travel down the hair like other races, because it stays mainly or maybe about the first inch or a half going up the hair, but other races it goes easily. Once you transfer and you comb the hair, it goes straight down the hair shaft very easily. That's why their hair gets very oily very quickly. Ours is very, very dry. We don't actually have enough water content. Our water content within the hair shaft is not the same as other races. We don't have certain certain fatty fats within the hair shaft like other races. So a lot of things put together makes our hair drier than everybody else's. And if the hair is dry, naturally it's weaker. Even though when you compare the amino acid content, which is the small unit that the proteins that make up the hair, which is keratin, all races have pretty much the same number of amino acids. It's just the hair follicle that is within the scalp dictates how the hair comes out. And ours is curved from inside the scalp. You don't have a straight hair follicle and then the hair curls outside. It curves from inside, and there are certain factors that causes it to stay curved.
So our hair is, black people hair is very, very curly then.
Right.
Tightly curled.
Tightly curled.
Right, because we don't describe our hair as being curly.
Right, I know. Okay. I know, it's kinky curly. It's actually, our hair is the prototype for curly hair. So every study that they do, they take our hair as a prototype for curly hair. European hair is a prototype for wavy hair, and Asian hair is a prototype for straight hair.
Okay, so did you hear that? We are the prototype for curly hair nowadays. Just because sometimes if we just change a narrative, you know, and say your hair is curly as opposed to, because language, because you know what it is, if we deconstruct the language to deal with our own identities. All right, so that you're saying that because of how the hair is made up, then it breaks easily.
Breaks easily. It's drier than other hair types, and because of this, it's a lot harder, because you need the oil to actually decrease friction between the hair fibers to comb the hair, and that's why everybody says, "Oh, my head tough, I can't comb the hair," and just basic things that you'd want to, basic hair care is lacking in the general knowledge out there.
What should we not do to black curly hair?
Okay, they think, if you straighten it on a daily basis, like some people who will flat iron or the whole relaxing, that actually damages the hair, because they're actually changing the configuration of the hair. There are other things that...
what about the cream?
Yeah, the relaxing of the cream.
Okay. So and you know, the cream gets close to the scalp. What other can the cream damage the scalp apart from burning it? Can it seep into the body like the
No, it doesn't. It doesn't seep into the body. But what we found is that it's still a hot debate, because there's a particular hair or scalp disorder that is pretty much only seen in black women, called central centrifugal cicatricial alopecia.
Goodness gracious
I know, it's a long name.
Give us the abbreviation.
So what I'll explain what it means. Alopecia means hair loss. Central means it's in the center of the scalp.
Yes.
Centrifugal means it spreads in a circular fashion. And then cicatricial means scarring. And what it means is a type of scarring hair loss that they think is related to the use of relaxers, but they've seen it in women who have never relaxed their hair ever. South Africans have done some studies, just like a few familial studies where they got two families who had it and tried to see if there's some sort of inheritance, and they think that it's inherited, but the person's, what you do to the hair worsens it.
Okay.
Why it happens, we're not entirely sure. We know that once it happens, if you don't start from early, you will lose the hair quickly, and I've seen a lot of women coming in with this hair disorder. Now, the effect of it, there's no way you can actually prove that relaxers cause it, because you can't exactly go up to that person who's natural and say, put in this relaxer and let me just do a thing that is unethical.
Yes.
So they're still trying to figure out if there's a way to do it, to figure out if how much of an impact do the relaxers have on the hair loss?
Well, and whenever the pharmaceutical companies start produce relaxers, we'll have all the studies, ethical or unethical. It's simple. So moving right along, because since we don't have the studies in terms of that, but do you think then, though, from what you've read, from what you know from your own studies, I heard you saying that, for women who put the cream in, the relaxers, that they actually, you see more in them. It will aggravate that situation. So then it means that there is a connection between the cream and.
But there are also persons who lock their hair. There are also seasoned persons who put in braids.
Okay.
And so
is it a pull on the scalp then? Or?
There's a potential, but we're still trying to figure it out.
So in terms of the creaming, because I have always maintained that bleaching the skin and creaming the hair is the same thing. You're saying that there's really two different things.
For a lot of persons, they feel that they're locked into this belief that they can't have their hair natural. And what I've found in Jamaica is that there are persons who are they don't want to relax their hair, but they can't deal with having their hair loose, so they'll go and lock their hair, meaning dreadlocks. And so there are persons who are still afraid.
Are you saying that that's why people lock their hair, because they don't want to relax it?
You'd be surprised.
Get out of here.
Not everybody, not necessarily
Hello,
you,
not me.
But I've seen some persons where they don't want to deal with a relaxed hair, but they definitely don't want to deal with the loose natural hair.
Yes, and you have loose natural hair. I'm getting tweets from people as far as South Africa, right? Who are saying to me, who are listening in South Africa, who are saying to me, I must take a picture of your hair and tweet it. And tweet it. Please take a picture of your hair, selfie, and tweet it. People want to see what your hair looks like.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. So you're saying that people think this, but scientifically speaking, though. You're bleaching your skin, you're creaming your hair, isn't this the same kind of damage? I mean,
it is the same kind of damage. Not with respect to because really and truly, when you use using heat to straighten the hair is not as bad as using a relaxer, because the relaxer is basically caustic soda, right? And that is what we use as a drain cleaner, right? And
wow,
so basically. If it's in the wrong hands, you can incur a lot of damage to the scalp and the hair. And we've had persons who've come in with severe relaxer burns, and you're like, boy, this was, I don't know, they did a number on you. But yes, they have different types of relaxers out there, but people don't necessarily. Yeah, if you're in the wrong hands, things can go really, really badly. Yeah,
have you seen cases in which the hair is relaxed, creamed, and there's an entire you lose the entire hair, so everything is gone?
No, I've seen where it's they've had severe breakage.
Okay.
Like the person kept it on for a very long time, and the hair shaft just went.
All right, we're going to go to the Supreme Ventures Super Lotto draw in just a few minutes, and then Dr. Muir Green will come back and take your questions. But just before we do that, Dr. Muir Green, let us talk quickly about this common skin diseases in Jamaica. What are some of the common?
The commonest things that we have, eczema. A lot of our kids have what we call atopic eczema, which is a type of skin defect where the person is born with the proper this disorder, and basically it's in the group of atopic disease or diseases, meaning persons with asthma, persons with eczema, some people with migraine, and what everybody calls sinus, or what is really in medical literature called allergic rhinitis, where you have the runny nose and the dripping. Those are a group of diseases or group of disorders that are lumped together, and we have quite a lot of atopic eczema in Jamaica. The real mainstay of these persons is that they don't have regular skin. They're may need topical steroids to keep the skin down when it flares up, but the real mainstay is mild soaps or soap the soap substitutes such as the emulsifying ointment to bathe with, and lots of lotion.
Right. And what about what you take? Oh no, I was talking about what you ingest in terms of how you eat and changing your diet and so on. But we're just 2 minutes away from the Supreme Ventures Super Lotto draw, so we come back to that. But hair loss, you say, is also a big thing in Jamaica.
Huge.
Men and women?
Men don't usually come in, even though they're concerned. They're mostly with male pattern hair loss, and a lot of our men tend to just shave their heads off. It's very concerning in other races because it's very obvious. But always, because of the hair type, it's not so obvious.
Okay.
With women, because of so many things that we're doing, I mean, weave has exploded in Jamaica. So a lot of persons have traction alopecia where they have loss of their front hairline, just from putting in so much hair in our scalp. And our hair is not tethered down into our scalp like other races. It actually is easy to pull out.
Okay.
So we putting on 40 pounds of hair, just make it worse.
Okay. So there goes the weave. So we're going to come back at 9 o'clock and talk again to Dr. Muir Green about these issues, and also to open the phone line. So stand by now, because we're standing by for the Supreme Ventures Super Lotto draw, which is coming up shortly. Here, the top draw dollars, pick 2. Pick 3 and pick 4 cashpot early birds draws, which are up next. You're listening to the Africa Forum. It is Running African. We also have coming up shortly local and international headlines. That's coming your way at 8:45. In addition to that, the bottom line, as we stand by for the Supreme Ventures Super Lotto draw. Time on IRFM, just a few seconds away from 8:30. As a matter of fact, make that 8:30 on IRFM as we stand by for that draw. Reminding you that the telephone numbers to call when you do so for Dr. Muir Green will be 974-5079, 5051 and 5043.
The essence of power is the ability to define someone's reality and have them live according to that definition as though it is a definition of their own choosing.
All right. We are back with you inside of the Africa Forum, Running Africa, and just want to say pleasant morning to you, Ms. Rosemary Green. Thank you very much for that quick call. And also, Devon Evans, we saw you calling in just now. Thank you also. All right, we're speaking with Dr. Lorena Muir Green, who is a clinical dermatologist, and we're talking about black skin, black hair. Just ahead of the news, though, just want to go back quickly, Lorena, so that when we come back, we can open the phone lines to hair loss. This discussion on hair loss in Jamaica,
yes.
How prevalent that is, how serious, and whether it is in mainly men or women, and what causes it.
We actually don't know the actual prevalence in Jamaica, because I think we haven't had like a registry of all the hair loss patients that come in. Because I work at the dermatology clinic at Kingston Public Hospital, which is actually based at Chest Hospital. The clinic is based at Chest Hospital. The number, because it's a tertiary referred center, not many persons are going to send on every single person who comes into a doctor saying, I have hair loss. And so we really don't know what the true prevalence is. And now that I'm back, I'm going to start trying to collect data to see what the actual prevalence is in Jamaica. But so far, mostly women are going to come more, because women are very concerned about hair loss, much more than men. With respect to our women, just by driving around the place or walking around the place, you can see that we are suffering from a lot of hair loss, because I see traction alopecia everywhere. The central hair loss, people can, with the one in the center, that long one that I was talking about, people can cover it up a little bit so you wouldn't necessarily know that they have it. And a lot of people are wearing wigs, and so you don't know, you have no idea how much hair loss they've experienced already. But a lot of women, just from anecdotal observation, are experiencing hair loss.
And then there's the loss of the hairline and so on. Do we know what? All right. Apart from those who are wearing wigs and so on, and those who people with natural hair who are doing that, and we see the receding hairline and the thinness of the hair. Is that natural? What causes that?
Okay, so in everybody, we inherit the propensity to have male and female pattern hair loss. And that as we age, it doesn't matter who you get it from, either your mother or your father. As you age, there's a certain particular hormone that is responsible for causing the hair follicle to shrink, and because the hair follicle shrinks, the quality of the hair becomes finer and finer and eventually goes away. It's more obvious in men, but in women we kind of just have a generalized thinning, and we don't really see it until very late. But that is an inherited genetic disorder. Okay, but with all the other things that we do on top of our hair, we are we have like a double effect. So things can go south pretty quickly.
Can it go back? I mean, once you've had that hair loss, and I mean, I know you cut it, you have hair loss. Can it be regrown? We see a lot of ads for what you can put here and put there. Can be. If you have just strictly female pattern hair loss or male pattern hair loss, with certain things that you can use, like available topical minoxidil, or what people know as Rogaine, can actually stimulate hair growth and keep the hair growing. Once you're using it, of course. If you stop using it, you lose the benefits. But with all the scarring alopecias, with the traction alopecia, the frontal hairline, the longer you have it, the less likely it will grow back. All right. What about diet and lifestyle, and how that affect both your skin and your hair?
Okay. With that, I mean, a good diet, for the entire body, it's always good. It's essential to have, good water intake, your protein intake. Once you, for the most part, the hair is dead, and it's a non-essential part of your body. Okay, and so if the only way that the hair quality becomes seriously compromised is if you are really starving yourself or something like that. However, there are certain internal conditions that can impact on your skin or your hair. There are persons who have what is known as polycystic ovarian syndrome, where they have these problems, irregularities with their periods, and they have problems having children and all these things, and they have a lot of acne. They tend to have brittle hair and hair loss. There are other persons with thyroid disease, things that they can't necessarily control. The big hair becomes brittle, or they thin out. With respect to lifestyle, exercise is always good. Exercise is excellent for keeping you looking young. It is amazing.
Hair, you name
everything. It is necessary. I mean, we have 70-year-old, 80-year-olds who if you saw them, you never knew that they were anywhere near that age, and simply because they exercise on a regular basis.
All right. Well, when we come back from news and sports, thank you, Dr. Muir Green, Lorena Muir Green. We're going to ask you to hang on for us until 9 o'clock. We're keeping her with us a little. And then for about half an hour, we will take your telephone calls and questions for Dr. Muir Green. So write them down, make them concise, make them short, so we can get in as many as possible. And the numbers then to call will be 974-5079, 5051, 5043, and 1-888-991-4152. I see persons have begun to send me their questions on Twitter and Facebook. I'm on Twitter. You can follow me at Kaabu Ma'at Kheru. That's K-A-B-U, Kaabu Ma'at M-A-A-T, Kheru, K-H-E-R-U, Kaabu Ma'at Kheru. On Facebook, it is Kaabu Ma'at Kheru Williams. You can find me there. All right. And then anywhere else, you can jump from Facebook and Twitter to find me anywhere else on the social media. Just before we go, Dr. Green, you write a blog where people can ask you a question. And how do they find you on the blog?
The actual website is askthehair.com. I'm also on Facebook, Twitter, and Google+. and you just type in Ask the Hair Doc and you can find me.
All right, brilliant. So you can ask questions here and then continue the questions with Dr. Lorena Muir Green on askthehairdoc.com. So news and sports coming up right after this. In about 3 minutes' time, we will be taking those questions. Well, we'll be taking the news and sports, and right after that, those questions for Dr. Lorena Muir Green. Time and Ira from 8:43, news and sports in 2 minutes. All right, the track is called Conjurer and it's taken from the album Heritage. Conjurer. Talking about conjuring the spirits of the ancestors. We understand that Mr. Putin left the G20 meeting early and said he wanted to sleep. He had a long journey. That's an interesting thing ahead of the news. Okay, he had a long journey ahead of him and he wanted to sleep. After all. I think they were giving him the cold shoulder about the Ukraine thing. And so he has said that, you know, I got a long journey and on top of that, I want to sleep, man. I'm going to get out of here. All right, news and sports in just a minute. All right, time on IRFM 8:45. It's time now for the local and international headlines, and Primrose Oliver is standing by with that.
This is news from IRFM, Jamaica's non-aligned news voice.
Good morning, I am Primrose Oliver with the local and international headlines. The Jamaica Labour Party, JLP's annual conference is scheduled to get underway at the National Arena this morning. The conference is slated to begin at 10 o'clock. It will be held under the theme, Austerity to Prosperity. Party Chairman Robert Montague, General Secretary Horace Chang, and the opposition spokesman on finance, Audley Shaw, are among several speakers slated to address the gathering. The party's leader, Andrew Holness, is scheduled to speak at 1 o'clock this afternoon. The Transnational Crime and Narcotics Division, TC&D, has seized over 517 pounds of ganja, while 7 men were taken into custody. The police say this follows a series of operations carried out across the island on Friday. Police say following one of the operations, 58-year-old James Beckford, a ramp attendant of Paradise District in Norwood St. James, was arrested and charged with possession of, dealing in, and attempting to export ganja. He is scheduled to appear in court on Friday, November 21. A 24-year-old man was shot and killed by an unknown assailant in Comfort District, Manchester last Thursday. That is Andre Johnson, otherwise called Pekka, a labourer of Comfort District in the parish. Reports from the Mandeville police said that about 7:40 p.m. Johnson was at a car wash when a gunman approached him and opened fire, hitting him. The gunman reportedly fled. The police were alerted, and upon their arrival, Johnson was seen lying on the ground. He was taken to hospital where he was pronounced dead. Sugarcane valued at approximately $1 million went up in flames in Golden Grove, St. Thomas on Friday. Firefighters who responded reportedly extinguished the blaze. The cause of the fire is yet to be determined. And in news overseas, Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott has closed the G20 summit by detailing economic pledges agreed by world leaders. The leaders agreed to boost their economies by at least 2% by 2018, adding $2 trillion to global economies. Much of the summit focused on Russian President Vladimir Putin's position on the crisis in Ukraine. Finally, a video posted online claims to show that Islamic State militants have killed the captured USAID worker Abdul Rahman Kasig. In the video, a masked militant stands over a severed head, which he says is that of Mr. Kasig. The U.S. says it is working to determine the authenticity of the video, which also shows a mass beheading of Syrian troops. Those were the local and international headlines. News is next at 11:45. From the RFM newsroom, I'm Primrose Oliver.
That was news from Irie FM, Jamaica's non-aligned news voice.
Thank you very much, Primrose Oliver, with the local and international headlines. Irie FM's Sunday Sports Diary is up right now, and Roger Hasford is standing by with that. How are you doing, Mr. Hasford?
I'm doing well.
Concrete asphalt?
Yes, doing well.
Well, here we are again. We were 2 weeks ago in Scott's Pass.
Yes.
Yes.
Very, very wonderful occasion.
I really enjoyed it. Yes. How long did you stay? Because I left,
Well, I think I stayed around 2 hours after.
Okay.
Yes.
And how was it?
It was going great, and I gather that it went right through,
Yes. Your father was there until when?
He was there until, I think, Monday morning.
Him no matter how you get home. No, you want him to travel. How did you get back?
I traveled back with the Irie crew.
So that's so we pass. Look here. So we breeze past upon the Chinese hill, man.
Yeah.
The bypass. What's the name again? The mount. Which Mount was a bypass there? China Hill.
North to south. Yeah.
China Hill.
China Hill. Okay. Yeah.
So we pass you on China Hill, but because you're in a heavier vehicle.
Yes.
So I said to my husband, "Look at pass him, man. Step on it."
Step up. Actually did. Yes.
Yeah, we didn't see you again at all after that, but it was really a lovely day.
Yes, it started from the night because I was there until around 2 o'clock. And then
I mean, when you show up, I was there the night, but I left before you got there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
I was there Saturday night.
Yes.
So I left, and you got there at about
around 12.
And you stayed until 2.
Then got up back at 5.
Yeah. So So what was the vibe like Saturday night into Sunday morning? Then?
Well, it was a good occasion. I mean, they had their usual
firelight.
Yes,
fire was burning,
and rehearsals for the morning and so on. Yeah. So it was all good, and of course we ensure that the PA system was up and running.
Yeah. Thank you. You did a good job there. Thank you very much,
You're
sir.
welcome.
And thanks to Asaivi and IFV and IFV and Dr. Jalani Naya, who was pretty instrumental in guiding us. In the OB, I was very happy when I saw him Sunday morning early. He became like the resource person.
Of course, yes.
Yeah, we must stop using Jalani that way, though.
Jalani cool.
Is him no mind?
Cool. Cool.
All right, but it was really good, really good. And we're talking about the reenactment of the coronation of their Imperial Majesties that happened at Scott's Pass.
Yes.
And that was on November 2.
Our thing as black people,
Love it. I enjoyed it. It was a nice day. You know what I liked about just watching people just greeting each other? From where I stand up, I could have known them. People know the people for years and months. And
years. I mean, only on occasions like these, I might, come across again and reminisce.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the amount of people who turned out, so that was quite something.
It was a wonderful turnout.
Yeah.
Definitely. I mean, and the students from the various high schools and the tertiary institutions and so on, coming to do their field work and research work and so on.
Nice.
They had a good time too.
Yeah, man, it was a lovely vibe. Lovely vibe at Scott's Pass. Thanks so much, Sister Mitzi and the team. Thank you so much. Really nice. On another note now, there are things happening in the Africa Cup of Nations.
Yes. The new host, Equatorial Guinea.
Wow.
Yes. Morocco had asked for an extension because of the outbreak of the Ebola virus. The Confederation of African Football said no. They gave them a timeline to come up with a yes. They didn't, and they took it away from Morocco and they threw it out again. Equatorial Guinea came up. In fact, 2012, Equatorial Guinea co-hosted with Gabon, and it's now Equatorial Guinea alone. And there have been concerns that Equatorial Guinea, they had issues co-hosting the tournament in 2012, but all is now well in terms of what CAF is looking for, and they are confident that Equatorial Guinea will pull it off. Of course, they have less than 10 weeks to prepare for and host the tournament, and we're talking about a lot of stadiums. Well, 4 stadiums. Some of them, they call them white elephant, or who we call them here in Jamaica and so on. So they have to go now and repair and fix up in time, and they are confident to do that.
But what I find interesting, I mean, why? So Equatorial Guinea can host it. Why not Morocco? And Morocco was preparing for it for years.
Well, as you know, Morocco, I mean, is it's on the continent, but it's not our majority of the people.
It's on the
most
continent,
of those people are not
Arabs.
of our.
Yeah, they're invaders, but you know,
and they were having concerns, as they say, about this Ebola outbreak, which is only in 3 countries on the African continent that is really a problem, and they were just there itching, as we would call it here, and eventually CAF just said no, and it expelled them from the competition as well. Equatorial Guinea, in fact, they were suspended from the competition a couple of months back because they fielded an ineligible player in one of the matches, and it's, as luck would have it, they are now hosting the competition,
so
and
they're
back in as hosts. As one of the 16 teams.
Were there any other options apart from Equatorial Guinea?
Well, there were a couple
South
of
Africa?
countries.
South Africa hosted it the last time?
No, South Africa hosted the World Cup. But there were other
South Africa could have hosted it.
Yeah, but
or maybe it must strain on the economy.
Maybe that, because maybe they have bigger countries than Equatorial Guinea.
Yeah, and South Africa just done the World Cup, and they had the big rugby thing the other day too, because
around 3 other countries had put up them hand to say maybe we can, and Equatorial Guinea was chosen. I think one of the smallest country on the continent too. So.
One of the richest too.
Well,
in terms of natural resources, but it's been taken out and taken back to Texas and so on.
That's a region for the diamonds and so on, and of course diamonds come with slave wages and
slave labor
and whatnot.
All right, well, to see. So qualifying is happening now. Do we have
yes,
qualifying games?
4 teams have already qualified. We're talking about countries like Tunisia.
What happened to the Black Stars? Did they draw?
No, they are still in qualifiers.
Oh, okay.
Yes. But 4 teams have already booked their spot, and with 4 including our Equatorial Guinea. So we still have 12 teams to qualify, including the defending champions Nigeria and so on. More qualifiers will be played, I think, next week. And then the draw will be on December 3.
But it seems, obviously, these countries, the 3 countries that are impacted by Ebola, they're not in Sierra Leone, Liberia.
Sierra Leone, they are in the qualifiers, but I think I don't think they are at the foot of their group, so it looks as if they might not make it. Liberia and Guinea, they got knocked out earlier. So Sierra Leone was the last team that was still in with a shot, but they are struggling in their group as we speak. Yeah.
Wow. So so Ebola really, the Ebola virus on the continent really affected the Africa Cup of Nations. I noticed on another note, but connected, that the U.S. has sent soldiers, 3,000 soldiers in all, to Liberia. Most of them to Liberia, and a handful to Sierra Leone and Guinea, to fight Ebola. Military boots on the ground to fight Ebola.
To fight Ebola.
Yes, and what's interesting about that is that China has now deployed hundreds of its own military boots on the ground, and also parked them in Liberia so that they are there to fight Ebola.
Yes.
Don't you find that very interesting?
Well, of course, the continued underdevelopment comes in many different ways, of Africa comes in many different ways, and this is, in my view, one of them, in terms of these countries getting their foot in the continent and coming out with some ridiculous things about using military to fight Ebola and so on. We know what I'm up to, but
yeah, and you know, the fact that they're so blatant with it. So China's answered America, and I always felt that they would have responded to America in military fashion, because AFRICOM, the 300 boots on the ground, is really planting AFRICOM in Liberia, because Liberia had always opened its arms to AFRICOM, and the African Union had said, not over with dead bodies. We do not want AFRICOM, which is the American military command, headquartered in Africa. Well, now they're there. 3,000 of them are there. And then China, seeing that, now send hundreds. I think it's not quite 3,000. I think they're trying to go up to 1,000 because they already have hundreds of personnel on the ground, thousands of people on the ground in Africa. But they are responding just this Friday with hundreds of military boats being sent same place to Liberia.
Yeah, I find it must be strange because, you know, as you said earlier, I mean, that region of Africa is one of the richest in terms of natural resources and so on, and getting their foot in is very important for them, because when they do that, they know what is at stake. I mean, we know that, say for instance, Sierra Leone is one of the richest area in terms of diamonds. Yeah,
and other stuff, because you talk about coffee and all them things. But it's Africa, the impotence of Africa, even while we say Africa is rising, to me is really shocking. What we see going on here, and the fact that barefacedly both the United States and China can take their Cold War and their competition in a military fashion, because that's basically what it is. They're fighting in the South Seas right now, militarily, Cold War.
Yes, and I read yesterday, actually, not to cut it, but I read yesterday where Russia is sending re-entering back this region in terms of surveillance.
Of course, yes.
In the southern Atlantic, and
it makes sense.
Yes.
Vladimir Putin just walked out of a G20, saying tired and him have far to go. He's tired and he wants to sleep and him have far to go. The woods are like something another and deep, and the men have far to go before we sleep. Oh boy, a lot to talk about.
True.
But so the Ebola also affected your travel to Morocco, eh?
Yes, yes. What I mean,
blame it on Ebola, man.
We'll find alternative ways to bring the Africa Cup of Nations alive here on the Africa Forum.
All right, if you say so.
Yes.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Roger Haspel, Concrete Asphalt. All right, give thanks. Now, 5 after 9 o'clock, we're going to be returning to Dr. Lorena Muir-Green, dermatologist. We'll be taking your questions, and later on, it will be time for the bottom line. Yeah, but it's a serious thing, though, with all those boots on the ground. They're taking and have taken the Cold War military fashion and military style. AFRICOM up against the China army in Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea. They say they are fighting Ebola, but they need soldiers with guns, armed to the teeth, to fight the virus that is Ebola. Makes you wonder. Sometimes the questions are more important than the answer. What is the question? All right, so to avoid anybody being angry with me, we're going to go immediately, Dr. Lorena Muir-Green, to the phone lines. We've got lots of questions coming in on Twitter and also by text and also on Facebook. But the numbers to call for Dr. Lorena Muir-Green on black skin, black hair today: 974-5079, 974-5051, 974-5043, 1-888-991-4152. Hotep? Hotep, my brother, go ahead with your question for Dr. Lorena Muir-Green.
Before that, I'd just love to give thanks to the eye to really pulled out so many ones at the reincarnation of His and Her Imperial Majesty's anniversary.
The reenactment. Thank you very much. And thank you too, Rascaba. Thank you so much too, yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
to the sister there now. She was talking about a lot of things that I never know. But what about people who she can answer after a hang up?
Yes.
People with hairy skin, like the Europeans and others who have hair covered themselves like animals, no disrespect. And the black people really don't have so much. And I think that the black man have lost more hair in a greater volume than the woman, to the point of baldness.
All right.
And
so what's the question? When you talk about the people with hairy skin, what's the question?
what would have caused that? And what would have caused the man to really lose hair in that volume, voluntarily and otherwise, to the point of baldness?
All right. Hang up then and listen.
Okay, just to answer you for two things. Everybody has the same body surface of hair. Everybody. It's just that what happens is that there are hormonal factors or other factors in different races that makes them more hairier than others. It's just that our hair is so tiny on the body that you don't really see it, but every single follicle or every single pore on your skin, there's a hair there, you know. It's just that ours is not that obvious. Well, in other races it's more obvious. Why that happens, don't really know.
Is it a matter of evolution?
Possibly. And
those who are closer to I'm just asking.
Possibly. We just, we can't complain. There are persons who, they pay a lot of money to get rid of their hair, so I can't,
Yes.
we shouldn't complain.
No complaints at all. None. All right. We're taking you to... Yes, go ahead.
And the other thing for the balding for the men, that is what I was talking about with respect to the male pattern hair loss. We inherit that from our parents, and over time the hair follicles shrinks on the scalp. It shrinks over time, and they start to see less and less hair than the women.
All right.
Hello?
Yes, Hotep, go ahead.
Hotep, this is the brother Ross Darwitt.
Ross Darwitt, greetings, my brother. Go ahead with your question.
Greetings, and greetings to the doctor, and thank you for being there to bring this important subject to life. Now, I wanted to ask you, do you know which gland produces melanin in the human body?
Okay, we have special, good day to you too, sir. We have special cells called melanocytes that, the gland or organ that produces melanin is really the skin. And we have special melanocytes or skin cells that produces melanin.
Oh, okay. Well, isn't it a fact that the pineal gland is where melanin actually emanates from?
Well, we have in all right.
Well, I know that
you have the hormonal aspect.
Dawit, you also have your radio on, so your questions are coming back at us long after you've asked them. So do you want to hang up and listen?
Yeah, I'm listening. I'm sorry.
All right, thanks. All right, go ahead.
Okay. You have your hormonal influence from within the brain itself. You have the melanin stimulating hormone that stimulates that gets released and stimulates the different the receptors in the skin to produce the melanin. Yeah.
All right.
I mean, there are several steps that I've omitted here because they have what we call tyrosine kinase, and that develop under the influence of dihydroxy dopa, and then that influences goes on to make the production of melanin. It's a whole complex thing, and yes, the pineal gland has some amount of effect, especially for melatonin, but it's all
All right, I understand what you're saying. It's complex, much more than a simple answer to the question.
Yes.
It all comes from the pineal gland.
Yeah.
All right, so from Dr. Naya, it says, is it that the skin absorbs what is on it, but the hair cream is not? Some has to be inspired of a petroleum foundation. Well, let me say what you're saying, Jelani. You're saying for the doctor, is it that the skin absorbs what is on it, but hair cream is not? Okay. Some has to in spite of a petroleum foundation.
Okay, let me explain exactly what I meant by that. You see, with persons who are bleaching, the skin absorbs what is left on it for a very long time. Those persons who bleach, what they do is that they put on, and the amount that is absorbed is dependent on how much you put on your body surface. So if you only put a little bit on your hands, not much is going to be absorbed. But if you put the entire body encased in the bleaching cream, as well as, and what they tend to do is to wrap things around their skin so that they get greater penetration, and they leave it on for a prolonged period of time, and that is why you get so much penetration into the body. When you use the hair relaxer or the hair cream, it's only left on the scalp for like 20 minutes.
It depends on the hair.
Right. So, 10 to 20 minutes. So it's actually not much is going to happen. It has several factors are in play here. You have to have the thing on for a large surface area. 2, what you put on top of it. And 3, how long you leave it on for.
But it does damage the hair itself. Because
it damages the hair. The relaxer damages the hair itself because it rearranges the structure of the hair fiber itself.
And likely damages the scalp.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Hotep, are you there? No? All right. Phone lines are still open on Twitter, also, Ari Daughter. All right, quite a few questions. Sometimes, okay. All right, you want to get to the question. Question for someone who's never had acne-prone skin. What can cause fine pimple-like bumps on the face and neck?
Fine pimples, it could be some sort of eczema. A lot of persons, they use, they could be the face wash that they're using, they may be allergic to it. Or some persons, if they wear makeup, they are allergic to things in the makeup itself and they don't realize. No, that sounds more like a eczema. Usually, you know acne when you see acne, the bumps and the pustules and all of those things, the pus bumps and the painful big ones. You know that. But if you have like a tiny, yeah.
You're saying that it might be something topical that you're using?
Topically using, or it's eczema, or if it's a child, it's more likely heat rash.
All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Hotep?
Good morning, Cabo.
Yes, Hotep, my brother, go ahead.
I have 2 questions, right? This is the same person that called you long time ago about the feather, But I know that's not the argument this morning. They're running Africa. This morning about hair and stuff like that.
True.
I have 2 questions. I have a little daughter. She's 5 years old. And she doesn't grow a lot of hair at the back of her head. But she more grow it on the top. And I'm kind of worried of that.
Okay.
And the other day she trim it out. She trim out the back. And so it's so low now. It's lower than before.
Yeah.
And the top is a little bit higher.
She trim it out?
Hello?
She trim it out herself?
Yes, she trim it out herself.
Where she trim it out with?
I'm gonna slap her. And so the next question is now, because I'm gonna listen. I listen to your program every time,
Yeah.
From Sex Wives Running Africa, everything, and you're awesome,
Yeah, man, go ahead.
You're the greatest woman in Jamaica right now.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, listen now. The other question now. I'm a concrete truck driver, right? And so I do concrete every day, right? I work at a cement plant that mix concrete too.
Yeah.
Take out to various hair. And what cement does to your hair when it touches your hair?
All right. Okay, hang up and we'll...
So listen, first I want to know about my little daughter, the way her hair grow.
Right. And the other one is cement.
Yeah, I want to know why she grows so little bit of hair at the age of 5. She should have a lot of hair on her head and she's not. I don't know if she inherit that from me because I don't grow a lot of hair,
All right, look here, hang up and we answer the question. Do you want more information, Doc?
No.
All right, okay.
For her, you definitely have to carry her into the doctor to see what could potentially be causing that. Because there could be several things. For some persons, they have fine hair. And therefore the simplest of hairstyles, like for instance, Kheru and those things, can actually, for especially little kids, we love to comb their hair very tightly. They can pull out the hair down at the back more easily than the front. Now, she could also have an actual scalp disease happening there. Don't know. I think I'm assuming that she's healthy, and so it's more sounding like a local problem than necessarily something happening inside her body.
She's certainly very active. She's cutting her hair.
Exactly.
So cement and hair.
For the cement and hair, I am not aware of the effects of, except for just hardening it. What else could possibly do? The main concern that you would have with cement with a person is actually developing allergy to cement. We have a lot of patients who actually come in, actually handling, a lot of masons, when they handle the cement, they develop an allergy to it, just by touching it. And it takes years for the allergy to develop. And that's the main thing that we'd be concerned about. And they get an eczema on their hands from just handling the cement.
Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Hotep?
Hi, morning. Hello?
Hi, Hotep, go ahead.
Yes, morning. Doc and Andrea, I'm on air?
Yes, you're
right.
live.
Just want to, I know I have seborrheic eczema. I've been diagnosed with it. I've done the gamma treatment. But I want to know, is there any natural approach the doctor can suggest? I'm trying to work with oils, olive oil, coconut oil, castor oil, but I don't think I'm getting as much moisture. That's the problem. I want to avoid the steroids, so I wanted to suggest a natural approach. Also, I'm having a problem of hair loss. I have locks, and so I can actually see areas where there is thinning and loss. What suggestion? And where does she practice?
Okay. All right. Quite a bit there. Do you want to hang up? All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I can hang up. I can hang up and listen. Well, in case I probably have other questions for her, depending on her suggestion, I'll hold on.
Okay. All right. For the first one, for the seborrheic eczema, and a lot of persons come in saying that they don't want to use any steroids, and that's understandable. Especially for a long-term basis. If you come in flaring up, they will use it, but then they don't want to use that continuously. What I usually suggest to persons is because it's the seborrheic eczema is never going to go away. All right, eczema is you are born with the condition, and there's a fungus that lives naturally on everybody's skin, and it does its own thing, and it flares up when it's ready. What I usually tell persons to use actually more antifungal oils like neem oil. Or tea tree oil. You can drop a few drops in some coconut oil or something and put it on the scalp. Those kind of things are more useful for you. Or you can use the neem leaves and make a rinse from it and rinse the scalp with that. Yes.
What about cleansers?
Cleansers, you just
right now I'm using an Aveeno soap. I've used the emulsifying ointment, but sometimes I don't think I get the cleanse that I want. So you'll have me tip into the next end of the scale where I have acne.
Okay.
So how do I get the balance? Because my skin is combination skin.
Okay. There are some good sulfur soaps on the market that you could use.
I've tried Aerosulfur. It's a bit harsh.
There's some other brands. You can try different ones to see which one suits you. I've seen some locally made products that have like pine tar soap and some other ones on the market, but they're not that well penetrated in the different pharmacies, unfortunately. But
pine tar?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look for that.
Yes, and
so you suggest a sulfur cleanser?
Yes. That's a basic.
The mildest, can you suggest the mildest one you know of? I know skin vary, but in terms of, as I say, I've tried Aerosulfur, it's a bit harsh, and I've tried another brand, I don't remember the name. Also harsh.
Honestly, I haven't really tried all of them, so I really couldn't tell you. I found Aerosulfur for myself, so. You'll just have to try for yourself and see what works.
And in terms of, the moisture, do you think oils, like I want to oil at night with the natural oils, are the oils moisturizing enough, or I need to be using some lotion?
You're better off using lotion, because oil, to actually give moisture, you need to have water with an oil.
Yeah.
So you're actually better off with a lotion.
All right?
Okay. Good time.
All right, thanks for calling. And we're trying Twitter, text, and everybody. So let's go back to Twitter. And here's a question. Could you ask Dr. Shamir Green if there is any documented death arising locally or internationally from skin bleaching?
Not that I'm aware of. Not that I'm aware of.
All right. Please ask the doctor to spell out her email.
Ask the hair doc at well, you can email me at doc@askthehairdoc.com. That ASKTHEDOC. I mean, sorry.
Ask the
HAIRDOC.com.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's DOC. It's askthehairdoc.com. And it's one word, ask the hair doc. All right. And doc is DOC. All right. Let's go to the phone lines. Hotep?
Yeah, good morning to you both.
Yes, Hotep, my brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, good morning to all of the listeners in South Africa who listen us by Area FM, St. Anne, Jamaica. Yeah, I want to ask a question. Do you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. I saw some ear oil sometime when them say they have ear grower in it. I want to know if those ear growers can grow somebody ear. And dyeing your ear, it can affect you like a man or a woman dyeing the ear. It can affect them or what?
All right, hang up and listen.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
All right, so 2 questions there.
Okay, to answer the first question, the hair oils that have the stimulatory effect. Now, there have been over the years different, castor oil has been said that it has some sort of growth stimulatory effect. They haven't done any studies on it. However, the way it acts in the body, it potentially can be because of it acts similar to the glaucoma drops that they use, which they found that a side effect is to grow the hair. People had lengthened lashes. That's why they come up with these things. This thing called lattice and all of these things. And castor oil kind of has a similar effect. So maybe it does grow.
Castor oil?
Yeah. On the scalp. It maybe has some effect, but they haven't done any studies for that. The other thing is that you have they have rosemary, nettle, and all of these essential oils that are used in a lot of these topical hair growth products, as well as capsaicin, which is from pepper. Capsaicin has been found useful for male pattern hair loss and female pattern hair loss, but not necessarily for other traction or cosmetic reasons for hair loss. The rosemary and nettle, those have been, they think that they act by stimulating in a stimulatory effect, and it may or may not work with everybody.
Okay, all right.
The other question was about, all right,
we'll soon come back to that because it totally slipped me through. I'm so sorry, but I'll get it back. All right, on Twitter it says, can these over-the-counter products really remove stretch marks?
Not really, no. Honestly, no.
The simple answer is no. What relieves stretch marks?
What relieves it actually is there's nothing really that is quite effective. They've tried lasers. Some lasers actually work to help with the tightening, but the mainstay that we use is actually topical retinoids, which we use for acne, and that's a prescription medication. But most of the over-the-counter stuff, they don't really work effectively.
All right, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back.
The essence of power is the ability to define someone's reality and have them live according to that definition as though it is a definition of their own choosing.
All right, defining and redefining our reality. On Facebook, and it's a little bit more difficult to get to the questions on Facebook for whatever reason, but Kwame Pianke out of the United States is asking, if the doctor says that relaxers don't penetrate the skin to get into the body, how does she explain the higher incidence of fibroids among African ascended women who relax their hair?
Actually, I don't think there's an actual higher incidence. They actually look to see there's only one study they actually looked to see, and they didn't find that there's a higher incidence. Honestly, there's none, because if you walk the street of Jamaica and you ask almost pretty much everybody, they have, whether or not relaxed or natural, they have it. that have fibroids. And interestingly, the fibroids are actually seen more in women of African descent on this side of the world than in Africa
itself. All right, and he did send me a link to look at that study, but you're saying that there, as far as you know, the studies are not incomplete regarding this.
Right,
not necessarily showing that. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Hotep?
Hotep?
Yes, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, Andrea.
Yes, go ahead with a question for Dr. Green.
Dr. Green?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. What's the problems of psoriasis?
Psoriasis?
What would you like to know?
Is there a cure?
There's no cure, unfortunately. A lot of skin diseases in general, there are no cures. You just have to control it, and there are lots of topical things that have been used over the, to help to stave it off. But if it starts to act up really badly, there you probably have to take oral medication to actually keep it under control, but there's no cure. And people have tried anti-inflammatory diets. I mean, we don't have it as prevalent as other races where they seem to have a lot more in certain countries.
What is it?
Psoriasis is actually a skin disorder where you have incomplete release of the, like how, normally your skin is supposed to shed after a certain number of days. But in psoriasis, you have an incomplete shedding, and what you end up with is plaques on the skin, and it's very scaly, it's very itchy. The skin ends up being red, but in our population looks more purple. And very frustrating condition. It's inherited, and usually ends up on the elbows and on the knees. That's where it usually starts off. It can have it in the scalp, and it can involve the entire body.
Okay. And they're saying there's no cure for it.
There's no cure.
Just treatment.
Yeah.
All right, caller?
Andrea?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
Yes, I just have one little thing for you now.
Yes.
If you get a chance, can you check Michael Tellinger?
Michael Pellinger?
Check him on the net.
All right, will do.
Will do. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. All right. As we continue to take your telephone calls and your question, Andrew Burton says, please ask Dr. Green to speak about the treatment of liver spots in general and whether it can be eliminated permanently.
Liver spots is the bane of our existence. Liver spots are in Jamaica. We call liver spots. In other countries, they have a different name for it. These are due to a fungus that naturally lives on the skin. So everybody has this fungus. It's part of our skin, and it loves us. Now, for some reason, there are some persons who develop a greater propensity or reaction to this fungus that lives on the skin. And usually around the summer months, that's when it starts to really act up. And what it does is that the name of the condition is what we call pityriasis versicolor. It means that the fungus kind of somewhat bleaches out the skin, and then it gives a scaly effect. There is no cure for it, unfortunately. You only have to treat it, and the person who is more prone to it, they're more likely to get it in the future. There are other persons who get it one time and nothing ever happens to them again, and there are persons who just never get it. It's just one of those things, unfortunately. A lot of skin diseases, no cure for them.
And then I'm wondering what role diet play in some of these diseases, if what you eat and how you eat. A lot. All right, sorry. Before you answer that, hold the line, caller. No, I'll be holding. All right, go ahead, caller. Go ahead. Good morning. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, go right ahead.
Hello.
Yes, we're hearing you loud and clear. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm waiting so long now that I get so disappointed. I almost got what I'm saying, but what I'm saying, when you get a cut on the skin,
yes,
and when it heals, it becomes dark. What
causes that?
When you get a cut on your skin, on your body, and it heals, and that spot becomes dark.
Okay. okay, what happens is this. Whenever you get any kind of inflammation or any cut on the skin, your skin becomes inflamed, and the inflammation is actually red. In our skin, it doesn't show red because of the melanin. It doesn't show red. It actually shows like a darker color. When it's healed, it can either heal with the skin recruits more melanin in the area and it becomes darker. And in some
that's the area.
All right, hang up and listen.
Okay, let me go over again. When you get a cut on the skin or anything that rubs on the skin or anything like that, you get what inflammation being set up. And in inflammation, you get several things, and one of the characteristics in inflammation is redness of the skin. But because of melanin, it doesn't look red in our skin unless you're a light skin. And what happens is that it kind of have a darker look, and when everything is healed, you get healing. In the healing process, it actually recruit more melanin, and then it becomes darker in complexion when it's healed. But there are a few individuals actually where you have the opposite occurring, where you actually have post-inflammatory lightening of the skin. So it can go either way.
All right. On Facebook, Kamisa US says, what causes bald spot around the hairline?
Okay, bald spots around the hairline. There could be several things. If you're wearing a lot of traction hairstyles like cane rolls, or person wearing weave, or if you lock your hair too tightly, because a lot of persons, when they go to the loctician and they use the crochet needle and they do it really tightly, or they do too tightly, you can actually pull the hair out from the root, and then you can get the bald spots occurring. In women, we have a lot of women with very heavy periods from their fibroids, and this could make them become anemic or have low blood count, as we call it in Jamaica. And because of that, it can have thinning of the hair in that area, so people will perceive it as a bald spot. And this also happens after having a child. Same thing called telogen effluvium. Hair gets thin and it looks bald in the area.
You know, I have to say it again, that you're the best person for these kind of discussions, because you also have hair going all the way down on your forehead. Your hairline is like down to the forehead. And I know I'm going to have to take a picture. So you got lots of hair. All right. It's really beautiful. Really, really beautiful. You should see this. We have a caller. Okay. Hello, caller. Good morning. Go ahead. All right. We're going to take a final question on Twitter. And Simone, if we have any caller holding, I'll take the final two. What is urticaria? Not sure of the spelling.
Urticaria is what we call it's an allergy basically, and what people call when your skin rail up, and it's actually hives, that's the general name, or what we call wheals or whales, and that is developed either from an allergy to something, and you have different types of urticaria, but the most common one is actually a food allergy. And there are certain things that can trigger it off.
Whales, whales. All right. Okay, Hotep, good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, go ahead with a question for Dr. Muir Green.
Alright, there's a doctor in the United States, I think he's from Africa, it's called Dr. CD. He said that there's nothing called melanin or even protein, because they are European words. Now, whether or not he's right or wrong, the question I would ask the doctor then, based on what he said, would be what is the chemical composition in terms of elements that you could find on the periodic table of both melanin and protein.
Okay, so there are two types of melanin that is aware of. You have the red-yellow kind called eumelanin. Eumelanin is brown, and then you have pheomelanin, which is red-brown. And the melanin is actually made of a protein. Okay, and I don't know the exact amino acid composition of melanin, but I'm a bit confused as to why he said there's no such thing as melanin.
All right, and I know that doctor very well. So, I think each person have their specialities and so on, and the pronouncements that they make. And this, I think, is an unfair question to throw at you here. So we'll invite you back and deal with some of those issues, which are more abstract issues.
Okay.
All right. Hello, caller. Good morning. This is our final call. Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning. Yes.
Good morning to you. I'm calling to find out if she treats fungal of the head and although one go about treatment.
If they do what?
Treat fungus of the head.
Okay.
Yes, I do treat fungus of the head, and I am located both at the Chest Hospital and also located at Boulevard Supercenter and Tangerine Place, 17 Tangerine Place.
All
right.
Okay.
Okay. Can you give us a lot of listeners, Simone tells me, asking for a contact number for you?
Okay.
Is it possible to give one out? Or
yes.
Okay.
The Health Plus Associates where I worked at time 934-1626.
934-1626. So that's 934-1626, and that's for Dr. Muir Green.
Yes.
All right, so Doc, we're going to wrap things up. And I'm very, very happy that you made it to Otrius at such a short notice, and could assist us in this conversation on black skin, black hair. We want to invite you back, though. Many, many times, actually, as we look at some of the issues of identity and so on. And any final words, though, that you'd like to leave out there with our listeners within the context of the questions that were asked this morning?
Okay. What I'd like to say is that persons, love your skin, love your hair. Don't fight against it, or don't fight against them. I mean, the whole thing, yes, I did point out a lot of things that were different between us and other races, but love the uniqueness of it and work with it. Especially here, I really am very passionate about that.
Right, and so am I, and we're very happy that Dr. Lorena Muir Green could come in this morning and to help us to understand a little bit much more about ourselves and our hair. Dr. Lorena Muir Green is a practicing dermatologist in Jamaica. She graduated from UWI, first obtaining a double major in chemistry and biochemistry. She then went on to pursue a career in medicine, so you are a medical doctor.
Yes.
And having obtained her medical degree from UWI, she went on to pursue a postgraduate specialization in clinical dermatology at Cardiff University, for which she got distinction. She was a recipient of a 2013 fellowship in hair and scalp disorders at the University of British Columbia. She's a member of the North American Hair Research Society, International Society of Hair Restoration Surgery, Dermatology Association of Jamaica, as well as an associate member of the Caribbean Dermatology Association. And she currently works at the Dermatology Clinic at the National Chest Hospital, where she recently established a hair clinic. And we've been talking about her blog. It is Ask the Hair Doc, AskTheHairDoc.com. And you can get answers to more of your questions there. She is also the daughter of Dr. Lloyd Eubank Green and Dr. Pauline
Williams Green.
Yes. All right, so that is a really serious pedigree. She had to be Pan-African and she had to be a doctor. There are no two ways about it. It is what it is. Thank you so much, Loretta.
Thank you for having me.
Coming in. Thank you so much. All right, quick break.
Western Union, moving money for better. The time by Western Union is
now 9:48, and it's time now for the bottom line. In the bottom line this morning, we argue that if China is a development partner with Jamaica, security and protection must be a two-way conversation. The bottom line is that when former Commissioner of Police Owen Ellington, on December 13 last year, took part in a so-called walkabout in downtown Kingston, as part of efforts to assure the Chinese community in downtown Kingston of Jamaica's commitment to protect the Chinese and their businesses in Jamaica. He was, in fact, operationalizing China's Angola model in Jamaica. At least part of the security element of China's Angola model in Jamaica, which has been enforced in Botswana, Angola, Ghana, Tanzania, Zimbabwe, South Africa, the Niger Delta, the Bight of Benin, Liberia, Zambia, Sudan, Congo, Cameroon, Ethiopia, Mozambique, and every other African country in which China now operates. So we're not unique in this walkabout situation. The bottom line is that the former commissioner, like his counterparts in many of these African countries, was most likely fulfilling part of government's commitment, signed and sealed in the very secretive deals that are made between our governments and our new partner, competitor, new colonizer, China. Here in Jamaica, former Commissioner Owen Ellington, along with available media, but especially TV, other high-ranking officers of the force and China's ambassador to Jamaica, Dong Chao-jun, in the very public walkabout, underscore the Jamaican government's commitment to ensuring that Chinese nationals in Jamaica are protected with the full force of Jamaica's police. They made sure that the message was imprinted in the minds of the oppressed Jamaican masses with a televised walkabout that included the highest levels of Jamaica's constabulary and China's highest representation in Jamaica, its ambassadors. Its ambassador. Fast forward to almost 1 year later, November 11, 2014, last week, a new commissioner of police and the police high command, led by new Commissioner Carl Williams, leads another globally televised walkabout with high-ranking members of a constabulary and China's ambassador to Jamaica, reiterating former Commissioner Ellington that the Chinese community downtown Kingston will be protected and that police presence will be increased in the area to thwart criminal activities against them. The bottom line is that Jamaicans are not to take these two public and highly publicized events lightly. They begin, through their very appearances, to answer the fundamental question of Jamaica's real relationship with China, whether it's a development partnership, whether it's as an economic competitor, or whether it is as a new colonizer. The bottom line is that China's engagement with Jamaica has nothing, absolutely nothing, to do with equal partnership. The new emerging relationship is merely and singularly focused on resource acquisition and commercial opportunism. And no one can blame China for wanting, or rather demanding, protection from criminal elements in their quest and insatiable demand for these resources and commercial opportunities, especially when politicians are acquiring parliamentary buildings, presidential palaces, sports stadiums, highways, logistic hubs and business communities in protected watershed areas from Kingston to Nairobi. Chinese businesses have been on an acquisition spree for businesses across the continent of Africa since 1996. And now, in the African diaspora, including Jamaica, and in exchange for their country's riches, African, Jamaican, and other Caribbean governments are offering not only their countries for sale, but their citizens too are being kicked to the curb, denied access to their land and resources, and excluded from the protection detail of a police high command of their own country. The bottom line is that the Jamaican government is eager to accede to China's demand for security for its nationals operating businesses in Jamaica, and that's to be expected. But who will stand up for the Jamaican citizen in these China-Jamaica negotiations? Who will stand up for the Jamaican citizen? Who will demand from China protection from the Hong Kong mafia, which is now rearing its ugly head on the continent of Africa, participating in illegal activities and driving drugs, hard drugs, and ivory trade deep in underground channels? Who will ensure that Chinese nationals coming into Jamaica with endemic diseases such as chikungunya and other contagious diseases which are endemic to China and which will no doubt find their way into the Jamaican bloodstream are properly screened, and that the Jamaican citizenry are appraised of the possibilities of outbreak, the prevention and the treatment modalities? We must ask these questions. Who will protect Jamaican small business operators from unfair economic trade and competition? Who will protect us from plastic and ensure that goods manufactured in China are not allowed to flood the Jamaican market, putting the small man out of business? Who will walk about for us? Who will protect the Jamaican worker from unfair labor practices by Chinese businesses? Who will speak for the Jamaican truck driver and operator who are paid way below the legal rates? Who will walk about and intervene when truck drivers and Chinese construction building sites are paid way below the legal rates? The bottom line is that if China is a development partner and not an economic competitor, or worse yet, a new colonizer, merely enforcing its Angola model in Jamaica, then protection must be a two-way conversation and not a walkabout downtown Kingston with our most senior police representatives like slaves in khaki suits waiting to protect the new massa from a Negro criminal. If Jamaica is an equal partner with China, then the conversation on protection and security must be a two-way conversation. That's the bottom line. This is how we're saying goodbye for today. It was fun, it was good keeping company with you as usual, as we seek truth, as we learn from the past, as we absorb the spirit of human possibility. Going forward now, going forward today, going forward this week, honoring my moral obligation to remember and to ensure that we will find a way, figure out a way to prevent it from happening again. Let us continue the unfinished revolution, looking back, facing forward, looking back, searching for the source, remembering it, reintegrating it and using it to go forward. Until next week, my name is Kheru Kheru. Thanks to Simone Brown Keys, who assisted this morning. Thank you so much, Simone. Thanks to Dr. Lorena Muir Green, to Carla Gulato, to you for listening. Remember now, the CNN has come into Jamaica and they've filmed a documentary, or they filmed a feature, a program on food, but part of that was filmed on Winifred Beach. Send them a text, no? Send them a tweet, Facebook them. Hit them up on the social media to say, while you film on Winifred Beach, we're still fighting for access to the beach. Cover the story. What good? Tell them other one howdy.